Okay, so am I online? Check 1, 2. Just initial check here. See what's going on. All right, so voice is picking up on the microphone here. Just trying to do a quick microphone check before I start. Sorry about the wait. Having all kinds of technical difficulties with my cam link today. I just reinstalled Windows and had to get OBS up and running again. All right, well, it sounds like things are working properly. So anyhow, I am going to be unboxing and getting ready the stuff that I need for water cooling my new workstation, referred to generally as Megatron 2.0. I'm Josh, also known as Cpgeek, and if you've been following the channel for a little while, you'll know that I just put together and started to shake down on air cooling my new workstation. It's pretty awesome. Currently, like most other people looking for enthusiast-grade parts, I'm waiting for somebody to ship me a 5950X so I can upgrade my Ryzen 7 3700. Still not a bad CPU, but given the amount of audiovisual things that I do on a regular basis, I could use the additional power. So I both pre-ordered the 5950X at B&H, and I've got nothing but emails saying we don't know when we're going to get you one other than maybe Q1. So I'm not holding my breath on that one. Last week at some point, I managed to get in on the Amazon 5950X while they were available for like the minute, but I haven't heard anything from them either. I still haven't been charged. It hasn't been shipped, so I'm waiting for that. Anyhow, the other part that I'm going to be liquid cooling is my GPU. I have a 3090 Gaming X Trio by MSI. Great card, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of overclocking with that a little bit. But I now have a stack of water cooling components behind me on the table here. That's all of these boxes here. I'm going to be popping each one open and going through it. You'll find all of the Amazon links in the description. Please note that they are affiliate links, so I do get a couple % back if you were to choose to order any of that stuff, and it'll help the channel out quite a bit. If you are interested in helping the channel more directly, please, there is a tip link down below. It's one of the last links in the description. Please go ahead and click that and move this little bar that's at the bottom of the screen here for paying down the camera equipment, the microphone equipment, and all of that stuff to keep this channel running. All of these components I purchased myself out of my own funds, which are starting to get less and less as the days go on. This new workstation was quite a big outlay. So if you'd like to see more unboxings, reviews, and first impression videos, as well as any of the general tech stuff that I do on a regular basis, please go ahead and click that tip button, and every little bit helps. If it's $1 or a couple bucks, whatever you can afford, I really appreciate it. And of course, nobody is forced into doing anything, so please do what you like. Also, up front, if you are interested in carrying on the conversation after the stream, please head on over to Cpgeek.org. There you'll find my Discord link, and you can join the community conversation. I'm there pretty much all the time. You'll also find the link to my Twitter, and I'm happy to talk on there. Also, we have a Facebook group, Cpgeek.org on Facebook. There's also a link to that from Cpgeek.org. And you can basically get alerted to videos such as this. Whenever I do live feeds, I advertise there. And also, anytime I put up videos, I have content, toss up some like polls or that sort of thing. So please do get subscribed there if you're interested in following along. Always interested in you guys' opinions on new stuff and upcoming tech things. I also do a little bit of gaming over on Twitch, twitch.tv/cpgeek2. You'll find a link to that as well at cpgeek.org. So if you want to find me, you'll find all those links there. And yeah, that's a great way to communicate with me. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and get into it. I'm just going to quickly read off the parts lists directly from the description that I made, just to make sure that I go through everything in order and don't forget anything. So this whole live stream is about liquid cooling parts. Right now I'm running my new workstation on air, but it was always the whole case that I wanted to do a custom liquid cooling loop. The only reason I'm running on air right now is not because anything went wrong with the liquid cooling, but because I wanted to go ahead and shake down all of the new parts that I purchased. I don't want to have to build a loop, drain it every time I need to diagnose a problem, and then fill it back up. So in order to avoid that whole scene, I am going to be putting off the build of the liquid cooling stuff. And today we're just going to pop open all those boxes. I might start building the liquid cooling stuff tomorrow. I've already been shaking this stuff down for a week. It's been more or less okay, with the exception, of course, of the Camlink situation I had this evening. But all of that stuff is external USB components anyway, so that wouldn't have interfered with any of the water and cooling stuff that I have planned. Without further ado, as far as the description, the water cooling loop that I'm setting up is going to be mostly Corsair Hydro X stuff. They make sort of a low mid-range, decent but not bank-breaking water cooling setup. You can either use their configurator on their website, no affiliation with Corsair at all. Again, all this stuff was purchased with my own money, but you can use their configurator if you are interested in checking out what they recommend for water cooling setups from their Hydro X line in your particular case, and motherboard and CPU, etc. They kind of give you an idea of how much cooling you actually need and what components you would need in order to put that together. I use that kind of as a baseline. I got some information from EK's online configurator. EKWB is another purveyor of water cooling components that are very high quality. They too have a web-based configurator to help you decide exactly how much cooling you need and what kind of components that you need. So I kind of used information from both of those, as well as some online various forums and videos. The YouTuber Jay's 2 cents was also very helpful in terms of the videos that he has out for water cooling tutorials. He's been doing this stuff for years. This will be my first water cooling build. It's a little daunting, as I didn't choose one of the turnkey style setups that are available from some companies. Instead, I went more of an a la carte situation. As I said, most of it is Corsair Hydro X, but I did make a few other decisions here and there that I felt would either be a little less expensive while still being reasonably high quality, or basically something that's is going to be better to suit my needs. So the Hydro X stuff that I got the Corsair Hydro X XC7 CPU block that will cool the CPU, which, like I said, is currently a 3700X, but I have a 5950X coming at some point. I haven't been charged either way, and I'm waiting on that. Really annoying. I wish that I had it here so it could be shaken down already, but them's the breaks. The stuff is pretty much unobtainium at the moment, so we'll see what happens. Next up on the list, the Corsair Hydro X XD5 RGB pump reservoir, and that's basically the pump in the holder of the liquid for the liquid cooling. I chose the Hydro X pump res because it has really nice integration with the Corsair Commander Pro, which is what I chose to run all of the RGB and fans in my system. I have been made aware that there are some other fan controllers / RGB controllers that may be more effective, but I've pretty much embraced the Corsair ecosystem. Before I started this build, I have a Corsair power supply which integrates with iCUE in that it reads back all of the power stuff on the computer, including things like how much power I'm currently using and that sort of stuff. I also have been using Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro memory, and that stuff is really nice and has LEDs on that look really cool in the machine. I've used it in a couple of client builds, and I really like the way that looks and performs. So I have 128 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance RGB. It's 3800 megahertz CL18. I need to be doing a little bit of overclocking on that as well. I'm not sure if I'll stream it or not because overclocking can be kind of boring, but that's what's going on. So as far as the pump res goes, has really nice RGB that integrates directly with the Commander Pro. You just plug it in, and all that stuff is controllable with iCUE. It's a PWM pump, so you can basically use it and manually control the flow rate, and of course all the pretty RGB stuff. The next up here is the Corsair Hydro X Series XR5 360 millimeter water cooling radiator. So I got two of these. It's a dual 360 millimeter setup that I'm building. So there's 360 on top and 360 on front. So that's 320 millimeter fans, which I pre-purchased and I'm currently using already. And those are the Corsair LL series fans. So I have 6 LL120s altogether. I'm going to be putting 3 in the top radiator, 3 in the front radiator, and that should both look and cool very well. Those are static pressure optimized fans. Yes, I know that there are better fans that may be a little cooler, but I really like the RGB on these as well, and it basically all ties together in that same Corsair ecosystem, so I really like that. Let's see. I got the Hydro X Series Hardline bending toolkit. This is going to be a hardline setup, and I went with 14 millimeter tubing. That's sort of the middle sized. Some people go with a 10 millimeter inner and 12 millimeter outer. That's kind of the default. That's what a lot of people end up using. That's sort of the smallest size possible in terms of common water cooling gear. Then there's the 14 millimeter stuff, which is what I got. It's still 10 millimeters on the inside, but the diameter of the tube is a little bit bigger. So it's 10 millimeter inner diameter, 14 millimeter outer diameter. It's big enough to look nice, but not big enough that it's going to be difficult to work around. They do also sell 16 millimeter tubes. I believe that's still also 10 millimeter inner diameter. I thought that might be just going a little overboard for my particular needs. So I ended up with the 14 millimeter stuff, and that works good. bending toolkit that I have here, the only real part of that matters is the inner diameter, because it comes with a silicone snake that you have to put in the tube in order to bend it so it doesn't collapse on itself. I'll show you that when I unbox the kit. So that's the bending toolkit. It also comes with like a saw and stuff. I'll go ahead and unbox that in a few minutes. I also picked up a set, two sets actually, of XSPC G-quarter to 10 millimeter inner diameter, 14 millimeter outer diameter, rigid tubing fittings. Words are hard. So those are the fittings that I've got. I went with XSPC because they were reasonably priced for the 4-packs that I picked up, but also they looked really nice. And further, they also do. They have a triple O-ring design that I really liked, and I think that adds a bit of safety to my rig, as I do not want this leaking, period. These are really expensive components, and I don't want that to be problematic. So no leaks for me. The triple O-ring design should be pretty nice. And I'll show you those in just a few minutes too. I went with some really inexpensive PETG. PETG is a type of plastic tubing. PETG is very, very common for liquid cooling. I have been warned that PETG likes to deform under temperatures that are reasonably low. So I'm a little concerned about that, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It is the most popular tubing for water cooling, so I'm kind of curious why there would be a problem there. But all sorts of folks on the PCMR water cooling Discord that I've been asking all kinds of questions seem to swear by the acrylic tubing rather than the PETG. Acrylic tends to bend at a higher temperature, but it is a little bit more difficult to cut through, and kind of makes a little bit more of a mess when you cut through it. It's also a lot more brittle. If you smack it on a table or something, it will shatter like glass, rather than deform like plastic would. But I went with PETG. If it's a huge mistake and something bad happens, then I'll go ahead and swap it out, and a whole bunch of people will give me some "I told you so's," and I've earned those. But PETG is the way I'm going here. For the GPU, I got a Bykski GPU water block specifically designed for the 3080 and 3090 MSI Trio cards. So the Bykski N-MS3080 Trio-X GPU water block. I hate the name, but yeah, it's basically the water block for the MSI RTX 3080 and 3090 Gaming X Trio. The deal with that is that this card is a little different from reference in that the components on the board are actually spaced a little further apart, making this one of the longer 3090s available. I didn't know that at the time that I purchased, but that's kind of the breaks. The reason I say that is I actually had to go out and buy a new case, as the 3090 was quite a bit longer than I expected, and it wouldn't fit in my previous case, which I liked. But I really do like the Meshify 2 from Fractal Design that I purchased and built my new workstation in. So I'm getting along with that quite fine. And I put the MSI 3090 Gaming X Trio in the description just so that you see the block that I use in comparison to the card. The block is going to hang a little bit off of the card, and there were some warnings in the review portion of Amazon when I took a look through there, which should be zero problem for me. But I would very strongly recommend taking some measurements of the case that you're using, or look them up on your case manufacturer's website, and make absolutely certain that the graphics card that you purchase and or block that you're putting on your graphics card is actually going to fit in your case before you buy, if you're looking at 3090 stuff. These are some big honking cards, and yeah, I didn't take that advice, so it cost me quite a bit of time in order to get that figured out. Yeah, please do take your measurements before you buy stuff, and you'll be quite a bit happier. As far as coolant goes, I'm using XSPC Ultra Concentrate. This is a clear UV reactive coolant. I decided to stick some UV lights in my machine as well. Just subtle enough to be a nice blacklight coverage, so it's hard to see that there's a black light through the very lightly darkened tempered glass, but it still makes all of the liquid in the system glow, so my tubes should hopefully glow a little bit bluish under the UV light. I did some initial testing just by shoving the bottle of concentrate in my case with the UV lights, and that actually looks pretty cool. So hoping that once it's dissipated in some distilled water, that things will still be looking nice and bright in terms of the UV reactivity of the fluid. It is a clear fluid, however, and I do like the clear look because there's plenty of RGB all over the place in my system, from the fans to the CPU block to the GPU block to the reservoir, so I can change up the colors and do cool effects and that sort of stuff right through IQ. This isn't a super bling build, but I figured if I were going to be spending a large amount of money on water cooling, I might as well get something that looks good as well. So that's why I chose that. As far as the filling bottle, I opted to not go with the $20 Corsair half-liter filling bottle, which I found absolutely ridiculous. And instead, I went on Amazon and I looked for various water cooling filling bottles, and I actually got re-referred, thanks to the algorithm, to tattoo wash bottles, which I never thought of, but it was under the recommended items. So I found a 2-pack. There's a 500 milliliter bottle, which is half a liter, and a 250 milliliter bottle. I'll take those out of the packaging on stream and whatnot and show you those. The point is, they're pretty much exactly the same bottle. They have the exact same hook aperture on the end that you'd use for liquid cooling loop filling. I looked at the Corsair bottle, I looked at the generic tattoo wash bottle, and they looked pretty much identical. I don't think I'm going to have any problems whatsoever in getting that taken care of. But the tattoo wash bottle was something like $8.50 for both of them, rather than one 500 milliliter bottle for $20. That just made no sense. So I'm glad I found that work alike. Also, I picked up a steel tube cutter, which I found recommended by Jay's 2 cents on his videos, and that should make it really, really easy to cut through PETG without making a mess and without having too much in the way of score on the end of it. So it should yield nice clean cuts, just like you would use for normal pipe cutting. This is not a tool that's specific to water cooling. This is just a straight up pipe cutter that I picked up from Amazon, but it should yield good results. It's also made of I believe steel, if I'm not mistaken, in which case the cutter should really last forever and be useful for a variety of jobs, from plumbing to water cooling. So it's one of those little items, not terribly expensive, that I'll keep in my arsenal for later on. Speaking of which, I didn't already have a heat gun, and I figured I would pick one up. So I got one of the Wagner Spray Tech heat guns. The thing about heat guns for water cooling, at least I've learned, is that you really have to be able to lay them on their back in order to use them properly, because you need both hands on the tube in order to bend it. So the heat gun needs to be able to sit straight up on its own to provide that heat, which also means that the intake for that heat gun needs to come from the sides and not the back like a hairdryer does, or most hairdryers anyway. Of course, heat guns are basically like hair dryers that are, a lot higher wattage. So they basically output a ton more heat. I don't think anyway. I don't think I would be able to use a hair dryer for bending this tubing. And also, again, you can't sit that on its back in order to use it, so that would be kind of pointless. So I picked up one of the Wagner Spray Tech heat guns. Again, no affiliation. I haven't used this yet, and I'll be unboxing it in a few minutes. I also picked up a Primo Chill RFB rigid tubing finishing bit. Now, these are relabeled. Primo Chill buys these from other places, probably plumbing supply stores. And this bit, it basically cleans up the ends of the tube after you cut it. So if you do end up with a ragged cut, you can basically use that in order to... you can basically use that in order to clean up the ends of your cut tube, both the inside and the outside, and it bevels the edges for you, which means that when you're putting the tube into the fitting, you don't want sharp ends, so you don't want 90-degree angles. You want nice beveled edges to slide into those fittings in order to not scrape at or puncture the O-rings that are inside those fittings. You want a nice gentle connection, so things are basically long lasting. You can pop them apart and put them together without having to replace those O-rings too often. And also just to make sure that things stay securely fitted within those O-rings so you don't get leaks. Last but not least, I also decided to pick up some heat-proof gloves. So I decided, what's more heat-proof than welding gloves? Those are generally good for hands up to, a good probably somewhere in the 200 degrees Celsius range, which is a lot more than I will get out of my my heat gun here. I just don't want to burn my hands when I bend tubing, so I will be wearing those, and those will also be good for other heat-related projects. So that, I don't burn my hands. I suppose they could double as oven mitts if I wanted to, that sort of thing, while still keeping dexterity in my fingers. There's that. So that is the list of items here today, and apparently my cat is deciding to make a cameo and come into the room, but not a big deal. Just a little distracting. Sorry about that. Let's see. Let's start breaking stuff out. There we go. Autofocus again. One moment. Don't worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a component that I've actually already taken out of the box. I'm sorry, I did get a preview on this one, but I wanted to see how it would work and how it would look, and just make sure that also my fittings worked. So I took a look at those as well. Hang on for just a couple of seconds. You figured I would end up, cleaning up some room for this video before I began, but I had all kinds of difficulties getting my the video capture device working, so I actually have time to clear space for this. So please bear with me, and just need to position the camera. All right, that's pretty good. Sorry about all the rummaging noises behind me. My cat is deciding to go through all the packaging material and apparently wants to get out. So just a second. I'll go ahead and let him out. There you go. Okay. Let's go ahead and switch on over to A plus B and B plus A. All right. And I have not set up Touch Portal yet. Touch Portal is a phenomenal OBS direction tool that allows you to switch cameras and audio and all that kind of stuff. I just reinstalled Windows as I put a new drive in my new workstation the other day. So I have not yet gotten all of the more advanced stuff set up for OBS. There we go. There's my incredibly dirty desk. I apologize. So this is the Corsair XC7 RGB water block. And this is basically going to be the core of the GPU cooling solution. Again, nice box. I can see the product right here, and I can see exactly what you're going to get as far as on top of your CPU. Hydro X XC7. The back box is a little banged up. That's my own fault. It's fallen off my desk a couple of times. I've had it front and center while I was setting stuff up. So it's IQ compatible in that you can control the RGB. It does use Corsair's semi-proprietary RGB implementation here. Corsair's implementation of RGB control is pretty standard in that it's 3-pin, 5 volts. You can adapt it. They do make adapters for it. In fact, I have an adapter going the other way for the graphics card block in order to get normal 5 volts strip, which is part of the graphics block, into the Commander Pro, which is Corsair. I'll show you that in a couple of seconds. On the side here, we've got a nice identification. Again, a picture of the device there. XC7 RGB water block. It's on all the sides, very easy to identify on a shelf. Apparently it's super chilled. I don't know what that means in relation to water blocks. I don't know how you would super chill a water block, but okay. On the bottom, this is CX9010006WW. I'm pretty sure that's the product code. If it's the serial number, I apologize. It also gives you a visual representation of the contents here, which is the block itself, a ring adapter, and some documentation. So everything is still in this as it was originally. So I'll go ahead and slide this in. Set the box aside for a moment here. So here we have the block. As you saw from the front cover, it's got a black surround, and it's got this this brushedness about it. Oh, I actually have installed a couple of my fittings here. These are not Corsair fittings, but rather the XSPC ones that I received. I wanted to see how that they would work with the color scheme. This is how it would come out of the box. I'm sorry if there's any confusion there, but these are in fact not included with the box. I added those. So you got the little Corsair logo that lights up. This whole thing is RGB, so there's a ring of lights underneath the shroud here that keep this thing lit. We've got these nice knurled thumb screws that are spring-loaded and retained in the actual ring. Now this is already on a ring adapter, and this comes from the factory like this. but you can rotate this in any direction. First off, if you put the ring down, you'll notice that thermal paste is pre-applied. I'm not sure if I'll use that yet or not. Leave a note in the comments down below if I should or not. I do have some Arctic silver that I might end up using instead. I know that I'll be using that on the GPU block, so I'll figure that out. But if you just twist in a couple of degrees here, it works very similar to a lot of the Asetek all-in-one style coolers. This is the actual thing that gets mounted down and is responsible for holding this thing against the CPU. As far as taking this thing apart for cleaning and whatnot, the top shroud comes apart completely by removing the screws on the outside here. And that will get you access to the block itself on the inside, so you can clean up all the fins and stuff if you have problems with that. I'm sorry, the screws on the outside are for the shroud, so you can access the LEDs and whatnot. The screws around the inside, these screws here, are the ones that will allow you to go ahead and remove the top of the block itself to get at the fins and do some deep cleaning should you need to do that. It also comes with this little plastic cover to cover up the thermal compound, but as you can see, I've already managed to smudge it a little bit. Shouldn't be a big deal though. But you can put this on in any orientation, so you can basically do even 45 degrees, and that's okay per the manual. So I like that they're using the Asetek system here, and these thumb screws actually use the default stock backplate for AM4 for Ryzen stuff, so I don't need to swap any backplates or anything along those lines. All I should have to do is pop off my current cooler, put this on, tighten it down gently, going from corner to corner in a star pattern until basically they're finger tight. And that really should do it for installation of this guy. I will more than likely be doing a build live stream of the actual installation of all of the water cooling components and the bend and all of that stuff. I honestly have no idea what I'm doing in practice in terms of the water cooling setup. This will definitely be my first water cooling loop that I'm putting together. So I'll have to go slow and methodically, but also due to needing this computer for my day job during the week, the only time I really have to do this is the weekend. So it will probably be a whole one-day event, live stream, just like the build video was, and I will have to go ahead and get that done. I don't know if that's going to be tomorrow or next week. It really depends on how much time I can come up with and make that work. I might wait until next week just to give Amazon the chance to send me that new CPU, because if I don't have to train my loop in order to rip this thing apart, in order to get the new CPU installed and then put it all back together and hope that nothing goes wrong with the new CPU, that would be for the best. But if it happens later on, then it happens, and I'll go ahead and do that anyway, because it's definitely worth it for the 5950X over the 3700X. Here we have another bracket. This is actually for Intel. I won't be using this, but it's in the box anyway. And for Intel, we'll need the bracket on the back side. But because I have an AMD CPU, at least for now, I will not be needing this at all. And here we have the 3M adhesive for the back bracket to hold it to the motherboard if I were going with Intel. So I will not be using these components, but rather simply popping this out of the box, sticking it right on the back plate that I have on my machine, and really that should do it. Also in the box, notable, this is one of the adapters that I was talking about previously, only the reverse. So this is the proprietary Corsair, let me zoom in here. This is the proprietary Corsair locking JST connector RGB Let's see if I can get some focus. Focus. It doesn't want to. Let's see if I can do it this way. There we go. That works. All right. So this is the Corsair 3-pin proprietary, well, semi-proprietary. There's nothing proprietary about the specific connector. The locking JST connector is available from a variety of manufacturers. But this particular implementation doesn't plug into any of the other RGB standard components, like the Oralink or any of those sorts of things. So this is basically an adapter that comes in the box that will allow you to plug in the Corsair RGB stuff and plug this side into a motherboard's normal 5 volts RGB connector, like is on most motherboards these days. Control the RGB here. I will not be doing that because I have the Commander Pro, and I basically can use that in order to do all of the RGB control. That's pretty much it for the CPU block. I'm loving that this is extremely straightforward. I don't think that I'll be able to mess anything up there. My first impressions as far as the aesthetic are outstanding. I wish a little bit more of the center components were visible through this. Like if this were this area of the shroud were transparent, I kind of would like that better. Whoops, sorry, it's out of frame. So yeah, I was saying if this part of the shroud here, where the fittings go in, were transparent, I would like a little bit better. And also if the just the water portion inside were a little bit more visible, I would like that a little bit better. In terms of fittings, I might as well just jump straight to the fittings because I have them here right now in my hands. These are the XSPC fittings. This is the black, what is it? Not titanium, black chrome fitting. So it's shiny. It's just a standard G-quarter fitting, which is pretty nice. If I go ahead and take it apart here, I did pop out the O-ring just for testing purposes. I didn't want to lose it. So I put that in a little baggie that's in my fittings bag, which I'll show you in a couple of seconds. These were reasonably priced. They came in a, I believe it was a 4-pack. No, it was a 6-pack. And they were, pretty good pricing for something that had, a lot of O-rings in the design, which is something that I really wanted in order to not have problems with leaking down the road. One of the biggest things with fittings when you're installing them is do not over tighten. Really, you're just trying to compress the O-ring that's there, the little rubber O-ring, to make it watertight. You don't really need to go any more than the O-ring will resist. So long as it gives you a little bounce back when you've tightened it all the way, then that's fine. The Corsair RGB blocks, like I have here, are pretty much plastic through and through. You'll note that the fittings area themselves are, this is basically just plastic here, which means that it's got to be pretty gentle with it. Otherwise, you can actually mess up the plastic threads and cause problems. You can crack it. This is made out of a nice nylon material, which is a little bit more durable than some of the plastics that are generally used for injection molding stuff, which I really do appreciate. So it should be a little bit more durable. But I really don't want to mess up those threads. So nice and gentle. You only need to go as far as finger tight with these, no further, just so long as the O-ring gives you a little bit of bounce back, and it doesn't turn naturally anymore. That's all you need, and that's pretty much it. So popping this back in the box, it does also come with some documentation. I have that on my desk here already. Just a quick moment. There it is. So this was the manual for the box. I just happened to already have it on my box as I took this thing apart. Looks like my main camera got out of focus. It went downside to a dirty teleprompter. There we go. And there's my winning face. As I was saying, warranty guide. Sorry, manual and warranty guide. The manual is pretty straightforward. Again, the installation on this is very straightforward in general. They basically label all the components that I just went through. There we go. They label all the components that I just went through. They basically give you a list of prerequisites. So they relate to the RGB hub that plugs into, or sorry, the RGB hub. The Lighting Node Pro, which is one of Corsair's lighting controllers, as well as the Commander Pro. I've got the both actually, but I'll be using the Commander Pro for the control on all of this stuff. You also need apparently a screwdriver in order to get in and around your PC, but none of this stuff has any screws whatsoever that can't be tightened with your fingers. So they give you installation as far as how to install the backplate, and this is for the Intel stuff. How to basically swap out the ring if you decide to go with the Intel stuff. So that's basically this. And over here for AM4 installation, you remove the little mounting mechanism thing that you have on the motherboard when it comes with it. So just a couple of you do need the Phillips screwdriver in order to remove the mounting mechanism that's on there already. I, however, am not using that mounting mechanism with my current cooling solution, which is Noctua NHD15. So I've already removed those anyway. There's no reason for me to put them back. In fact, I just store them in my motherboard box in case anyone were to need them later on. Most of the cooling solutions that I've seen on AM4, the first thing they have you do is remove those, so that you can just use the backplate and screw directly into those screw holes, which works phenomenally. I haven't had any problems with AM4 mounting systems. Optional, if your motherboard does not come with a backplate, you can install the backplate that this thing comes with. It'll work for AM4 as well, apparently. But I don't need to do that because I already have a backplate that works great. So optional bracket orientation, they basically say that you can install it in any increment of 45-degree angles, including upside down. So if you wanted to do that for aesthetic or tube routing purposes, you have that ability. How to install fittings, which I just went through real quick. How to install RGB, which I just went through real quick. How to use the adapter that's included in order to do RGB on the motherboard. It's a very all-encompassing manual. The print is a little small, given the available real estate here. I wish this were quite a bit larger. As someone who has difficulty reading small print up close, I think that they could have made this a little bit bigger and gotten more out of this page than they had. But that's really my only complaint, and that's pretty good for a technical product. They do a really good job of explaining things with pictures, enough for even folks like me who have never done this before. So that's the Corsair Hydro X Series XC7 RGB CPU block. Whole lot of words. Oh, and of course, warranty guide. They do warranty their stuff for, I believe it's 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, for the water cooling stuff. I hope I won't end up needing that, but if I do, it's there. Gives people a little bit more peace of mind when doing liquid cooling stuff. So I definitely appreciate it, but knowing me, I probably won't be using that anyhow. Put this stuff back here. Next, an item I have not popped out of the box quite yet. Let's back this up. This is the Hydro X XD5 RGB pump and reservoir. Still there in the plastic. As I said, I have not taken this out yet. I'm kind of curious how this looks in real life. On the front here, we have a really nice graphic of what you're getting into. We've got this textured back panel here. That's kind of a cool design. Nice bold fonts, letting you know exactly what's in here. On the side here, we get super chilled. I guess that's just their branding on this stuff. But again, there's no mistake in what's in the box here. On the bottom of the box, again, you've got a whole bunch of normal copyright information and SKU. On the side, we've got some dimension information. It's 186.03 millimeters tall altogether, 82.36 millimeters at the base of the pump. 83 millimeters wide. That should give you an idea as far as installation. Sorry about the glare, just trying to get that so you can see that easily. On the other side here, we've got various languages. In English, it says high performance D5 PWM pump, 10 individually addressable RGB LEDs, 330 milliliter reservoir with integrated fill port. Included coolant temperature sensor, requires a Commander Pro or Lighting Node Pro to control RGB effects, and coolant flow with IQ software not included, but it does include the ARGB motherboard adapter should you choose to use this with straight up motherboard RGB, and it will also respond to normal fan PWM headers. So if you did not want to use Corsair's RGB control system right out of the box, you can just plug this into an ARGB header to do RGB, and a fan header set to PWM mode in order to control the pump, which is fantastic. I couldn't ask for much better as far as compatibility there. Unboxing. Me being prepared as I am, I do have a box knife on my desk somewhere, but I am honestly not sure where that is. One moment. Looks like I will have to resort to a screwdriver, and I'm sure that I will find my box knife as soon as we're done with this whole stream. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the plastic here. Most of their packaging is pretty straightforward. Oh, one of the sides that I didn't show you before actually includes what is in the box. That's very important to see. So let's zoom in and focus. So we have the pump res itself. We've got the base plate that mounts to one of these included fan mounts. You can either mount to the radiator or mount to fans. These two are for two different types of fans, 120 millimeter versus 140 millimeter fan mounts. So depending on what you have on your radiator, what kind of radiator you have, and that sort of stuff, you can choose the fan mount that works for you if you choose to fan mount. It looks like, is this that must be the integrated temperature sensor that you screw in. It comes with the 24-pin ATX power cheater, so you can plug that into a power supply to run the pump without the computer plugged in. That's important so you don't short anything out if you do end up having a leak. You always want to run the pump without the computer plugged in for a few minutes at least before you start plugging in your computer's power stuff. And of course documentation in order to make this whole thing go. So, go messing up the box already. Don't like unboxing with a screwdriver, but c'est la vie. Use what I have today. So the packaging is quite simple. Let's back that off and refocus. As with all of these, the packaging is quite simple. It uses thin plastic that's shaped to hold the items, and nice little baggy kind of thing for this. So most of this is going to be pretty decent environmentally and for getting rid of or that sort of thing. I probably will end up keeping the boxes for some of this stuff, probably this, in order to be able to send this back for warranty repairs if that's necessary, or if I end up needing to resell this for whatever reason. So popping this out of the box first, set that aside for a second. Let's just get all of the materials out of the box. I'm going to set the box aside for now. And my egg camera has gone all fuzzy again. Ooh, didn't hit it. There we go. Sorry about that. Also, sorry about the extreme close-up. Sorry, one more minute. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. That was a couple of minutes ago. I'm not seeing much in the way of dropped frames. I keep going fuzzy again. That's really annoying. There we go. So just investigating this. Everything appears okay. Let's check out the preview. Well, there's plenty of video information. Everything appears to be good. So I'm sorry if anybody had issues for a moment or two. That appears to have gone away. Anyhow, on the unboxing. Sorry about the side effect there. All right, so let's start with the manual first. There's also the warranty guide, but the manual here looks like it's a little thicker than the other. So in the box, we've got reservoir, the mounting plate for the fans, the mounting plate that mounts to these mounting plates, the 24-pin adapter. We've got the temperature sensor, a cap for one of the fittings covers there. We've got screws, nuts, and washers for attaching the pump res to the plate, and then the plate to screw holes, which is what that is, or fan screw holes, which is what that is. We've got some thumb screws along the way, I guess, in order to mount the mounting plates together here. We've also got a little Corsair tool, which is what you use to screw and unscrew these little slotted type of things, as well as the adapter for the RGB. Prerequisites, filling bottle, which I just talked about. I've already got one of those, and we'll show you that in a minute. Screwdriver in order to get in and around these screws that I just mentioned, and that's a Commander Pro in order to do RGB. Not needed, but it is recommended by them. So as far as assembly goes, here we can have a variety of orientations and adjustability. It slides side to side, up and down, depending on what orientation that you choose to mount it in. And basically just mounts with 4 of those thumb screws up into the reservoir itself. And then the mounting plate mounts to either the fan mounts or to a case. And that seems pretty straightforward. There we go. There's a picture of it mounted to a 240 rad. And as you see, it's adjustable and makes life easy. Here we have it mounted to just a case fan. You want to do just that. A few different mounting orientations. You can mount it to just a case. They want you to keep it vertical, not horizontal, which makes sense in the case of the way that these ports are positioned. and also these top ports. Gives you tips on filling, gives you tips on adding fittings, shows you how to plug it into the Commander Pro if you have one of those, and how to daisy chain RGB. I didn't realize that this is actually a daisy chainable device. That will actually come in handy. I didn't realize that you could plug this directly into the Commander Pro, it looks like. I thought you needed an RGB hub. If that is not the case, I've learned something new here today, right now, and that will actually change my plan as far as the purchase of a RGB hub for my Commander Pro, because I thought that I would need another one. That's really cool. So again, connecting to the D5 pump to the power supply. It looks like, unfortunately, that this is Molex, and I'll confirm that in a couple of minutes when I actually get hands on the device. This is connecting to the motherboard if you do it that way. Filling in priming. How to use the 24-pin adapter in order to power. How to fill. It looks like they cover a lot, even a frequently asked questions. So they cover a lot of bases here. This is pretty much water cooling for dummies, and the pump res is really the core component of a water cooling loop. So pretty nice of them to include all of that information in one concise guide. Again, warranty information, lots of small print. I believe it's a 3-year warranty, if I'm not mistaken. Corsair limited warranty. Just trying to get a number. I think it's 3 years. Please don't use me as a guide on that. This is the mounting plate for the pump. No reason to put a hole in it. It was taped. Wish I had seen that previously, but it's okay. With a little results there. So this is the plate. Looks like it includes all the mounting hardware inside of here to keep packaging together. Show you that in a few moments. And cardboard to keep that all inside. I'll remove the cardboard. So this is the plate itself. The device will just sort of fit there, and then this part will attach to the plates here, like so. So this will be allow you to move it up and down, or it's actually square, so you can mount it this way and go left and right. This is the bigger one for 140 millimeter fans. This one won't be used, as I have 120 millimeter fans like this, and basically you can mount it this way or this way or this way. So there's lots of modular mounting capabilities here. This is the Corsair adapter from Corsair RGB to regular RGB, as I showed you previously. Just like on the CPU block for RGB control. Set that aside. This is the adapter for the 24-pin. Basically just bridges 2 pins, so when you plug this into your power supply, it turns the power supply on, providing power to the pump, so you can basically prime and fill your pump without your computer being turned on. And then here we have a whole bunch of hardware. So the hardware itself all matches the same aesthetic as the rest of the stuff, which loosely matches my choice of fittings. I think it all looks great together. And this is very sturdy hardware. I don't think there should be any problems in getting all of this together for getting that set up. This is the temperature sensor, so you would install this into one of the fitting G-quarter connectors there. Nice rubber gasket around there. And the other side of this is a little temperature probe plug, which I can plug into my Commander Pro, which has a temperature sensor input. And what that enables me to do is run either the pump at various speeds via the PWM on the Commander Pro, or I can actually use this in order to run my fans at different speeds based on the liquid temperature. And liquid temperature is going to be the way that I will determine how fast everything needs to run in order to get the heat out of the system. So at idle, I can basically keep the fans off or at a very low setting, so it's absolutely silent. And when I start with video gaming or video production workload or an AI workload utilizing TensorFlow, where all of the CPUs and GPUs are all running. It can spin up the pump, it can spin up the fans, and vent that heat to the room. The reservoir itself looks pretty well quality. I do see that the RGB is on top of this thing. And it's daisy chainable by 2 separate cables. So one of the things that I'll say up front is I really wish that if you're going to have daisy chainable stuff, I would want this to be all one sleeved cable. The sleeving is very important. I might have to do that myself before installation. This white strip sort of stands out as far as the cable goes. I don't really like the look of that. This is going to be on the back side, so I shouldn't have to look at this anyway. This is going to go above and out of sight, hopefully. But I really do wish that they would take the extra time and sleeve this. They have sleeving down below, so this is the power cable for the pump. This is Molex, which I wish were SATA power instead of Molex to power the pump. So that's a little not so great. So if you're Corsair and you're listening to customer feedback, power this from SATA power, because very few people are using the Molex connectors anymore in their rigs in general. Very few people actually have any of these plugged in, period. So it would be nice to not have to deal with this stuff anymore. It's 2021. We really shouldn't have to. In order to get 12 volts, we have those SATA power. And also all of the other Corsair stuff, like the Lighting Node Pro and the Commander Pro for RGB controlled, is powered off of those SATA leads. So I wish that they would do that here. C'est la vie. It's not a big deal, but I wish that were the case. Again, sleeving, I would sleeve this all together as one cable and have RGB plug-in at the back at the Commander Pro, and then have this available for another input. I'm also going to take a look and see if these are the same or different. Okay, these are the same. They interlock together, which means that I'm pretty sure I'm still going to need that RGB hub in order to make that happen. Not a huge deal, but we'll see about that. Seems that there are 3 cables here. One of them is Molex. Oh, 2 of them are Molex. I see. They're just individually sleeved. And then as far as this goes, this is the PWM control for the reservoir. It's relatively light. Clarity-wise, oh, there's a peel. Okay. Might as well do the peel now. Actually, on second thought, I'm going to leave the peel on until I get this installed in my case. I don't want to scratch this up when I go to mount it. So I'm sorry about that. I am going to leave that attached, and that will help me to not scratch the heck out of this thing as I'm getting it in and out of the system. I do notice that these are rubber mounted, so that there's good vibration reduction there. You have this this tube that comes down, and this I imagine is for anti-vortexing. So that's when water comes in, or coolant that is, it doesn't stir it up and create a vortex, which makes things difficult for the pump to push through. Couple of things here I am noticing. There's no good way at removing the whole reservoir top portion. I don't really see any way to do that without having to disassemble this whole darn thing. So maintenance, if I need to do any, is going to be really annoying. Yeah, there's no way to, no easy way anyway to get this off. It's all one molded piece of plastic on top. So you can't lift this top portion off. It's all just one big molded piece. And in order to get it off here, you'd have to disassemble this portion of the pump res in order to get in there. If I had coolant that were that had stuff in it, like the view fluid, for example, that's used in show PCs. That stuff can only be used for a week. It's very common to have it gunk up water cooling gear. You would not want to use this in a loop like this, because you would need to get inside in order to remove the particulate that's suspended in that coolant that will clog things. Thankfully, I'm already planning on using a clear fluid that's nice and easy to clean. This should be able to be cleaned up just by flushing it with some distilled water in the end, without causing any problems whatsoever if and when I do need to clean this. The other issue is algae buildup. If I do end up getting growth in my loop, which is always a possibility, it's kind of gross. Getting in here to clean that up would be difficult. Again, I would have to remove the whole block, get in here. And even if I did remove this whole top part, there's this plastic mesh, which is part of this molded plastic part that you really can't get in and around. I would actually end up probably having to break the bottom of this, the mesh part, in order to get in and scrub. So I don't like the design of that. Corsair, I really wish that you would enable the removal of whatever you're using for your reservoir from the pump easily. An O-ring and some screws would be just fine here. I don't mind that it's plastic, but the construction of this plastic is not awesome for taking things apart and maintaining it. This is also something that a lot of graphics card companies get wrong with graphics cards that have a liquid cooling block pre-attached from the factory. They make it so that it's difficult to get inside and get to the cooling fins in order to clean them. This stuff does require regular maintenance. Usually it's just a matter of flushing with distilled water, which is a very easy process. But sometimes you really do need to get into these things and scrub them down with usually like a toothbrush, or just to get in there with a soft cloth or something like that in order to get the stuff out of the inside, any of the nasty stuff. So far, I like it. It should work out pretty well. In my case, I'm probably just going to end up mounting it square in here so that the cables are in the back, so I don't have to look at that too much. The mounting plate here, so the idea is you drop your cables through it, and these screw holes line up with this. You install your thumb screws on the underside here on these 4 points, and then you can use screws to mount this to one of the 120 millimeter plates and have it just sit in your system like so. These sleeve cables are kind of a waste of being sleeved, as they're going to be out of sight completely anyway. They're just going to go through the grommets of my case and go off to the power supply in order to do that, as well as the PWM connector. Actually, this will be plugged into the Commander Pro anyway, so that's kind of a wash too. Which also means that the back port here will probably be used for the temperature sensor, just so that cable is also out of the way. And on this side, I will go ahead and put one of the stoppers in. So the back will be the temperature sensor. The side will be just a stopper, and then my tube runs for the actual cooling of the system will come out of here and here. I think that will work best. Overall, I'm really liking it so far. I do have a few ideas about what they could do better, what I just mentioned, but I'm pretty happy with this. Again, this is the Corsair XD5 RGB, and this is sort of a mid-range slash, I don't want to call it entry level because there are some bargain basement versions of these pump reservoirs that have significantly fewer features. Notably, the RGB stuff is completely missing from most of the pump reses. Also, some of them don't have variable pump arrangements. This is a nicer one in that you can control the pump speed, so that's pretty nice. Just going to go ahead and put this stuff back the way that it was, more or less. That's good enough. Going to be breaking this out hopefully soon enough anyway in order to use it in my water cooling loop. So this is the component that's also going to be most likely to be swapped out, I think. The first time I have any major maintenance issues with this, as far as cleaning out the reservoir or growth or anything along those lines. I may have to swap this out. This is one of the more expensive components in my loop. I mean, it's worth every penny in terms of the stuff that it comes with and how easy it is to install and mount and those sorts of things. They really did think of a lot of things that could go wrong with this, and they worked those out very well. It's kind of a plug and play solution. I already can see in my head how this would go together. So kudos to them for that. But I do wish that they used maybe a rounded top that can be unscrewed and screwed together, like a lot of the common D5 pump tops. And they could still use the Shroud RGB design. It just won't be that same diamonds cut style oblong shape. It would be round instead of the squared off tapered look, which I actually think that this would look great as a round device altogether. But I guess Corsair doesn't want to spring for that, and that's fine too. So we'll see how that turns out. Stay tuned for the live stream of the build on that. Let's keep going with our unboxing. Let's see, what's next? Let's go with the radiators next. So there are two of these that I bought. They're exactly the same, so I'm only going to unbox one of them. This is the Corsair XR5 360. Now, this is a pretty long box. Oof, my camera went out. One moment, please. Let's see, camera B. There we go. Suddenly blinks into view. So this is the Corsair XR5 360 radiator. As you see, it's pretty big. Takes up much of my desk. And this is a 360 millimeter rad, which basically means 320 millimeter fans. So a fan goes here, a fan goes here, and a fan goes here. That part is pretty straightforward. They screw in using standard fan screws. The LL120s are what Corsair recommends for this, and that's what I currently have in my system right now. So it gives you a nice picture of the radiator. Triple 120 millimeter fan mount, if I can speak the words. On the side here, again, we have a little picture of the fan. We have what comes with, which is basically the radiator and three screws, three types of screws for the screwing in of fans. One of them is for if you're screwing in from the outside of your case, so you need a little bit of room for the case and a little bit of room for the fan and a little bit of room for the radiator. So they're super long screws. We've got these, which are a little bit shorter, which are if you're just going from the fan to the radiator. So like if the fans are on the outside of the radiator and then you mount the radiator to the case. And then there's the shorter screws, and these are used for directly mounting a radiator to the case. They're just long enough for the case and the radiator itself. So it comes with all of the mounting hardware that you need in order to put these in the system, which is what I expected. Corsair's nice plug-and-play system, XR5 360. Again, with their super chilled, and then on the other side here, XR5 360. On the back side, we get information. This is a 30 millimeter thickness for high area cooling. 30 millimeter is kind of the de facto standard small, thin front top mounted radiator. That's what most of the all-in-one liquid coolers are, is 30 millimeters. So this will basically fit anywhere those will as far as the 360 stuff goes. So long as you have a portion of your case that's 360 millimeters, that will take three 120 millimeter fans. You can basically stick these in. And again, I will be using two of these, one on the front and one on the top of my case. So 30 millimeters optimized for low noise fans, which my LL120s are. Matte black polyurethane coating, so there should be a little bit more durable of a coating on here. So it's less likely to scratch, although I'm going to be kind of gentle with these anyhow. It's really easy to bend aluminum. I'm sorry, not aluminum. I apologize. This is not an aluminum radiator. This is a copper radiator. Copper block, I believe copper fins, but it's got a matte black polyurethane coating. And also integrated fan screw guides. So there's some guides on there that help you get the right screws for the right job. Let's go ahead and get rid of this plastic. Cut the seal here. Again, their packaging is nice in that it's minimalist while still holding the components very well. So we've got internal cardboard box. Get to that second, and it sounds like hardware. It's at the far end though. I'm having difficulties getting it to drop, so I'm just going to open this end. Okay. Ah, doesn't want to budge. There we go. So you're going to start with the less interesting box here. So they're all a little baggy. So the 3 different types of screws here for screwing the radiator to case, for screwing the fan and the radiator to the case, if you were to go with that, or to screw the fan to the radiator and then the radiator to the case. So they give you all the hardware that you need. Nice and straightforward. I like their use of cardboard, very economical as well as earth-friendly, which I appreciate. And then the radiator itself. So they include a nice manual, just like all the rest of their stuff, as you saw. The Hydro X line from Corsair, again, a really good first water cooling rig box. They explain all the things as far as what all the screws are used for, how long they are, and they're all Phillips head screws. Number 1, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, sorry, no, number 0, if I'm not mistaken. It's just a multi-language guide. The only thing that it really says in here is what screws to use, which I suppose is the most important part, so you're not using incorrect mounting hardware for the wrong use. If you use a longer screw than you need, then you can end up puncturing the radiator itself, and nobody wants that. That's a bad day. So in the box, the radiator has bubble wrap over it, which I appreciate, as these fan fins can deform very, very easily by just pressing on them too hard. Copper is a very bendable, malleable metal, and it has to be thin in order to best vent all of the heat, which is exactly what this is designed to do. So just popping this open, there's a little bit of tape here. Slide the rat out. It looks like they're also using some foam padding here. Again, I appreciate that because of how sensitive these are. And I'm just going to slide it out. One side is all the way open, so you can very easily slide this out. The radiator looks to be in great condition. You can see right through it, which means that this is a high airflow radiator. The deal with that is it doesn't take much static pressure in order to push the air through this. Also, because it's so open, it creates less fan noise as well. A lot of the noise that you hear from a water-cooled system is just air getting hit against all of the various portions of a radiator, like a whistle or the air being stirred up from being forced through. So this being wide open should yield the least amount of resistance, as well as the least amount of noise. I've got a Corsair logo on the side. You won't be able to see that probably inside the machine, but that is a very nice touch. Shiny and looking very good there. On the end, we have the tank, and these are the fittings. They come from the factory with these screwed-on fitting covers. They are plastic. They're designed to be removed, but they are pre-installed just for the sake of installation here. I don't see any O-rings, but they're made of plastic, so they're probably watertight. I wouldn't want to trust that to any old use, but it's nice that they've included them attached. So popping these open, and I'm going to show you this once I get that open. I'm going to zoom in here so we can see down inside the tanks. Now, it's hard to see in there, but there's actually quite a bit of rust and what I would think to be debris. It's hard to get light in there. There we go. There's a little bit. I don't know how much of that you guys can see at home, but I can definitely see it's rust colored, all in there. So radiator flushing is definitely recommended with any water cooling radiator, period. So I've learned, and this is no exception. Um, Now, Corsair does say that these are pre-flushed, and I do believe them. But because of the rust on the inside of this and any sort of manufacturing residues left over, like the flux used from welding these together and soldering the tanks and that kind of thing, um, I will definitely be flushing these, and you should too if you utilize radiators for water cooling purposes. Flushing is just a matter of putting in some distilled water, preferably hot, perhaps with a little bit of vinegar, although they say not to use acids, so probably just straight hot distilled water should be fine. You put the water in until it can't be filled anymore from both of the fittings on the tank. Put the caps back on. Shake it up very vigorously, as hard as you can, just to detach all of the would-be materials from inside here, and then dump it into a clear bowl, and repeat until it comes back clear, and you've successfully flushed your radiator. I'll probably end up doing a video on that when I flush these. It's shouldn't be that difficult, but it may take a few rounds, 3 or 4 rounds, in order to get those through. Oddly enough, however, this may be a large radiator, but it really doesn't hold all that much water at all. Most of the volume of this radiator that we're looking at here now is basically just empty air between fins. The actual liquid is carried in these larger fins that run horizontally on the case here, on the radiator. Sorry, and they're very thin, so they really don't hold all that much water. So you just got to shake it up as much as you can, get as much as you can out of this, and set that up before you go and install these on a machine. These are pretty substantial. They're not heavy, but they're certainly copper. I think that that this is really good. I wish that they weren't rusty on the inside. I don't know how often you see that. Again, this is the first radiator that I've actually purchased for liquid cooling purposes. If you know, please let me know in the comments what you think of the fact that I'm finding rust in these. I'm not super worried because I've seen a lot of people comment that it's a really good idea to flush these no matter what you see, because there can always be soldering flux or residues left over from the manufacturing process on these. Yeah, so just let me know if that's a common thing, that there's rust color on the inside, and we'll work from there. I'm not going to bother unboxing the other one just now. It's identical to this. I purchased 2 of the exact same radiators for the top and the front of my machine. And that's pretty much it. It's nice black coating. I like the paint job that they gave it. It's really nice. It should keep things very durable as well. Go ahead and put this part together, and then slide this back in the box. Oop, drop that. Get that manual in there. The manual was in the box before, but not a problem. And then that'll go in here. Cool. Next up is the Hardline bending kit. Again, this is Corsair Hydro X. Let's see here. And the camera went awry again. What is up with that? Keeps going back to life when I reset it, though. So we'll see how long that lasts. Oh, spoke too soon. Just looking at the chat here. Hello, Beast Mode. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Just unboxing some water cooling components tonight. So this is the Corsair Hydro X Hardline bending kit, XT Hardline bending kit. Now, it's important to note that Corsair's Hardline that they sell as Hardline for their liquid cooling kits, the Hydro X series, use acrylic, not PETG, as I purchased. So this is not necessarily exactly what I would want for cutting, but I will probably end up using all of these tools at some point, so I'm still happy that I purchased this particular kit. So let's go ahead and get to it. Just take this off here. We can see this is just a cardboard box that's been printed. The printing on it is definitely very high quality. I like their what they're doing with their labeling here on all of these boxes. This is the least bright, vibrant, colorful box of the bunch. Most of them are yellow and black in order to keep that Hydro X branding. This is a just a cardboard box here. Never mind, my camera keeps going out. All right, that's really annoying. Excuse me while I deal with that. I'm just going to try resetting the connections here. There's one. And there's two. And there's three. And there's four. All right, so I reset everything on the camera. That should work fine. Okay, so this is the Corsair Hydro X XT Hardline bending kit for 12 millimeter and 14 millimeter. And got, as I said, the nice printing on the box. So you see all that there. So it comes with basically the saw, nice handy jig, a deburring tool, although that tool is really specific to acrylic. I don't think it'll work on PETG. We'll see. A nice bending jig that'll give you some various angles, and looks like a piece of tube. Oh no, this is the silicone insert for tube bending in order to not mess up the tube itself on the inside. Back, create stunning clean cut hardline tubing runs for custom cooling. Includes high quality hacksaw and deburring tools, unique cutting jig with protective ridge, 30 centimeter silicone insert. I'm not sure if that's actually going to be long enough, but we'll see. Adjustable bending mandrel and suitable for 12 millimeter to 14 millimeter hardline tubing. On the sides, again, super chilled XT hardline bending kit. Again, lays out exactly what comes in the thing as I just did. We've got the SKU information and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a nice looking box all the way around, especially for something that's just printed cardboard. Breaking the seal. All right, right up front, we have a nice manual here. As per usual, wow, that's really big. Or is that a warranty guide? Ah, I see. It's a combination warranty guide and manual. It's got sandwiched together there. So as far as the manual goes, I'm not going to read it word for word, but just to see what it actually covers. Quick start guide, installation guide. Corsair recommends you thoroughly leak test your custom cooling kit for at least 24 hours to ensure the system is sealed, etc. Package contents. So we've got the saw, the deburring tool, the silicone insert, the jig for cutting, and the jig for bending, mandrel, I guess. Prerequisites not included. They recommend a heat gun, a set of heat-proof gloves, and a tape measure. All things, as I said, I already purchased, so we'll go through those in a minute. Gives you a guide on how to bend tubes. You basically rotate the tube while having the heat gun standing up toward the tube there. You insert the silicone insert into the tube, and you rotate slowly and heat it up until it bends. You can also use the mandrel in order to adjust the angle and get appropriate 90 degrees or however many degrees that you need in order to bend. Measuring, cutting using the mandrel and the saw, or the jig and the saw. Reaming the tubes with the nice reamer tool. Again, I think that's just for acrylic. I'll have to see if that works on PETG. And then installation into the block. So the O-ring gasket and the compression ring fitting. That's pretty much the long and short of that. So looking at the actual tools themselves, it looks like they intend that you keep all of the stuff here in this box. I actually like the idea of that, and I probably will end up keeping this box in order to house these items. I think this is actually a pretty good fit overall, and for tools that I will use infrequently, it's good to keep the stuff all in one place. So this is the reamer. It has very sharp ends here. So one side is for the inner diameter, and you basically shove a tube in here and turn, and basically cleans up the inside and adds that bevel that I was discussing earlier. And this part is for the outside, so you put that on the outside and turn, and it cleans up the outside of the tube, so you don't slice into any O-rings when you go ahead and put tubes together. So that's pretty nice. This is a cutting jig so that the tube stays straight when you go ahead and cut through it. It doesn't wiggle around or anything, so you get nice straight cuts. This is extremely important for acrylic, not necessarily for PETG. For PETG, I actually got a pipe cutter, which I'll show you a little later. I'm going to try using both methods, both the cutting jig as well in the hacksaw, as well as the pipe cutter. I'm thinking the pipe cutter is actually going to do me a lot better for the quality of those cuts going forward. Silicone insert. This is hard, not a tube, but rather a hard piece of silicone. And the whole point of this is you shove it in the tube in order to bend, so you don't decrease the inner diameter. This is exactly 10 millimeters across. So that's the inner diameter of the tube that this is designed for, this kit. So that's the inner diameter is 10 millimeters, and the outer diameter of my piping is 14 millimeters. Although it also works with 12 millimeters as well, which is what it says here on the box. So this is the bending mandible or whatever they're calling it. So you put your tube in here, and it looks like these come out. They're little stoppers. Oh, I see. They're designed to measure for you. So they're graduated. So each one of these is 10 millimeters. And then there's 30 millimeters on top there, which is like the minimum that you would use for a fitting is 30 millimeters. That's how much you need in order to appropriately fit in a fitting and have a little bit more left over before you start bending. It's a really good system. I think that this will definitely come in handy for both measuring and cutting in these. Looks like both are the same on either end. Tubing can go straight through if you remove the stoppers. These are just measuring tools, these little stopper things, so that you don't go too far. Just an quick and easy way to measure out how much tube is in there before you bend, kind of thing. I really like this. This is going to be the most useful part of this kit, I think, is just the tubing guide that it comes with here. And then this is a straight up hacksaw. Got a thin blade on it, and looks like it's a straight up hacksaw blade. Like you can replace this at any old hardware store. It's extremely durable. It feels like it's a nice steel, thin, but it's a nice steel design, and it's rolled, so there's not a sharp part on this at all, except for the blade, of course. The part that you grasp is mostly plastic. It looks like it follows the steel around, so it's a combination steel plastic handle. It's just ergonomic. It's pretty nice. If I end up using this a lot, I think it's a nice saw. I definitely would recommend this kit if you're going to be bending for acrylic. And if I do end up swapping out my tubes for acrylic later on, I'll be glad that I purchased this as well. This is a nice kit. It's kind of expensive for what it is. Let me look up the current price. Let's see. Let's go to the description and copy. Just want to see how much that is for you guys. So this is the current listing on Amazon. As you see, I last purchased this January 31st. It's been a while since I've been setting up for making this video, as I wanted to get the workstation together first. But this is $49.67 at the time of this this stream. So $49.67. It is Prime, so there's free shipping if you buy it on Amazon and you have Prime. This is the way that I did it, and yeah, so pretty much $50. Oop. Forgot to hit the button. I apologize. So this is the Amazon listing, and $49.67 is the going rate on this. Last purchase January 31st, 2021. So yeah, it's expensive, but for the tools it comes with, kind of needed it. I could have parted this out and not done the saw, not done the jig, got my own bending apparatus, and done a longer silicone snake for, probably a lot less than that. But this is a really good all-in-one kit. That's kind of what Corsair is going for, is basically a whole kit to make things nice and easy for first-time water cooling people like myself. And I think this kit will come in handy. Just looking for, let's see. Looks like my A camera is not functioning at the moment, but my audio seems to still be going. There we go. I don't know what's up with these cameras tonight. They've been giving me all sorts of difficulties. Let's see, going back to B plus A. So yeah, nice kit, definitely recommended. There's a warranty with the kit as well. All this stuff has a standard Corsair warranty. So if anything gets messed up or you have any sort of questions or need help, you can basically reach out to them. I have not utilized any of Corsair's tech support ever. I've had a variety of Corsair products, but I have not yet tested their tech support, so your mileage may vary as far as my knowledge there. But that also says a lot about Corsair as a company. I'm not a Corsair shill. This whole idea is basically putting together a bunch of different water cooling components from them in order to just keep things in the same family for simplicity, and also be compatible with the rest of the products that are RGB and or IQ controlled. I don't need Corsair everything. I'm quite comfortable with my Logitech mouse and IBM keyboard as far as input peripherals and that sort of deal. But in terms of fans and water cooling and control of them, I wanted to keep everything in the same family as much as I could. Unfortunately, they do make water blocks for GPUs. They do not, however, make a water block for my MSI Gaming X Trio 3090, which is why I went with the Bykski version instead of the Corsair version. If you have a reference card or a Founders Edition card, then they do make blocks for that. I would definitely refer you to the Corsair website if you're interested. I don't know anything about those blocks, and I have heard that the previous generation, the 2080 Ti stuff that Corsair made, did have some leaking problems. So I don't know how much you would want to trust that. I'm kind of up in the air. I'm not reviewing those products because I do not have a Founders 2080 Ti that I want to water cool. I do have a Founders 2080 Ti that I'm currently having a mining build in the other room, but I'm not interested in water cooling it at this point, as I want to keep it stock in order to resell it if I choose to go that route. In my current workstation, the one that I just built with the 3090, I definitely want to water cool that as it will definitely help keep things cool and overclockable and that sort of stuff. Yeah, so I went with a Bykski block for that. So putting this back together, and like I said, I'll definitely keep this in the box. I'll only need that for initial setup, I think, or when it comes time to modify the loop or replace tubing components. But it's a good set of tools to have around. All right, let's. What is the next thing? Sorry, please bear with me. I'm just looking through the list of things to look at. Okay, went with fittings next. I did take a look at fittings a little earlier, but I do want to dive into that a little bit more. It's not going to get super complicated, but check this out. So these are XSPC fittings. These are black chrome. So let me zoom in here. These are kind of smallish. So this is the bag that they came in. They were just in the box, thrown in the Amazon box this way. Not a problem. So each one of these is self-contained in its own little baggie, which I really like, because it basically keeps all the components together. And if there's any QA problems with that, then it's basically confined to a particular bag. Getting out all the contents of the bag, setting that aside for a moment. So we have this O-ring, we've got the fitting itself, and you'll note there is an O-ring here on the fitting already. It's all the way at the bottom. You can kind of see that. Don't have enough light here. It comes out of my hand. So there is an O-ring here, and this is the part that goes into the fitting. So this would go right into the fitting, and you'd screw that in. And this comes apart. So this is just a collar. It screws together. So this is the first part you would put over your piece of water cooling tubing. And then you would place the little O-ring that you have over the piece of water cooling tubing. And then in here, it's hard to see. There we go. You can see two rings that are on the inside here. Those two are two O-rings that are there in order to compress against. So it's less likely to leak. I really like that. So there's the O-ring that's on the tube itself, and then there's the two on the inside that you slide it against in order to make that go. So the O-ring goes in the tubing, which ends up in here. And then you got these three O-rings all together, and the collar goes on like so. And now if you look through the side here, you can see three. The one that I just put on there that would go over the tube, as well as the two that are pre-installed in the fitting, and then the one that has the fitting to whatever you're mating to it. So these should be pretty reliable overall, I hope. It looks like the design is sound, at least in my humble opinion. As far as aesthetics, I do like the gnarled look here. The dark, kind of shiny, definitely non-matte. It's definitely shiny. It is really nice, but it is dark. I like the black chrome look of these fittings, and I think it fits really well with the black and RGB aesthetic of the Corsair stuff here. I think this is going to look really good in my case. And these are packs of 4, I believe. Nope, 6. 1, 2, 3. Let me double check on that. Okay, if I come on back to Amazon and I go to let's go to orders. Actually, no, I'm just going to go over to the description here, and I go to my fittings, copy, paste. So these are XSPC fittings. They're sold by a company called Titan Rig, who are a pretty big player in liquid cooling. It is a 6-pack per bag, and these are the specific fittings that I chose. I do have a link to those in the description, which is exactly what I used in order to get to this site. Looks like there's only a few left, but they replenish all the time. So this set was $37.92, and that's a pretty good price for 6 fittings, especially of this high quality. And they are labeled XSPC on the side, but it's hard to make out in the black chrome version. Again, my camera decided to stop with the video, but still continue with the audio. I really got to sort out those gremlins. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I really like those fittings. I think that they'll work very well. And not that one. DNA. There we go. Yeah. So they're reasonably priced for fittings, especially that many in one go. But they're not bargain basement fittings by any means. You can get fittings on eBay that are significantly cheaper than that, but they probably only have the single O-ring, and these basically do 3 O-ring design which makes me feel a lot safer as far as the tubes and whatnot. The ratings on these are very good. The particular Amazon listing that I have here doesn't have much in terms of ratings, but I did turn to the water cooling community at large, in particular the Reddit Discord for water cooling. The folks there are pretty awesome. I've asked them a whole bunch of questions, so if you're interested, check out the Discord for the water cooling section of Reddit. I like these. I think they'll work pretty well. Next up, tubing. So if you hang on for a couple of seconds, switch to ACAM here. So if you can please hang on for just a few moments. I'm going to grab a quick drink, take a quick bio break, and then I will go ahead back and start on the rest of the gear here. We are coming up on the second half of things, and it's should be pretty good. We've got cooling bottles and the actual coolant itself, as well as the heat gun, the tubing finishing bit, and all the gloves and stuff that I chose. So please hang in there, and I will be back in just a minute or two, and we can go ahead and finish this up. Let's see. Oh, because I just redid OBS. Not sure if... oh, there we go. I should be back. Okay. I just tried to load my Be Right Back screen into OBS, and it decided to freeze up on me. So I'm still here. I will be taking a break in just a couple of seconds. Just looking for that. There we go. Intermission. It's always something, especially when you reinstall your operating system and have to reset everything back up. So as I said, I will be back in just a few moments. Please stand by, and I'll be right with you. And welcome back. I think everything should be in order. Yeah, that works. So, took a quick bio break. Grabbed myself some Fago Twist, basically fake Sprite. Again, not sponsored, although if anybody is interested in having me review stuff or want to sponsor me for any of these videos or anything along those lines, definitely do feel free to contact me. All of my contact information is at Cpgeek.org, including my Twitter, Discord, Facebook groups, all that kind of stuff. My email should be there as well. So if you want to hit me up there with any sort of business opportunities or anything that you might want to have me take a look at, please let me know. And I will definitely consider what's going on, and we might be able to make a deal. So let me know. I'm always interested in stuff along those lines. But until then. All right. And now I've gone fuzzy again. All right, so next up, we just did fittings. Oh, yes, tubing. Tubing is actually in the other room. I apologize, but I'm going to put you on intermission one more time, but this is going to be much shorter while I run into the other room and grab those tubes. I'll be right back. All right, so this box is giant. Just a generic, really big Amazon box. Has all the tubing in it. Inside, we've got a little bit of paper packaging and this plastic stuff. Looks like just two poster mailers kind of stuck together. I don't really like the way that this was shipped, especially as the ends are pretty much open. But all of the tubes seem to be individually wrapped, unfortunately, as well as wrapped together. So I'm just taking these out for the first time. I'm not certain what's keeping these together. Okay. Ah, I see. Apparently there's some adhesive stuck to the outer plastic. Oh, okay. And they're cellophaned together. So I'm going to remove the wrap. That's keeping all these tubes together. Really don't like the way that these are packaged. It's way too easy to scrap up the tubes if you're not careful. Don't want to use a knife on that because I'll cut through the the plastic that surrounds the tubes, and I don't want to do that. There's plastic there to make sure that they remain clear. Okay. Oh, okay. Cool. I'm just going to remove one, set the rest aside for a moment. It's just up against my computer here. So these are the PETG tubes. You can see that they're covered in plastic individually, so you can basically set them up and take them out of the plastic just before use. The ends are cut pretty smoothly. I like that. It's 14 millimeter tubes, which, you know, now that I'm looking at it, actually feels like they would be, they should be a little bit thicker than this. Me being me and having the tools at the ready, actually have caliper somewhere. There we go. This is my 3D printed caliper case. Made this and then sanded it all down nice. Where is the little hole? So this is just an inexpensive set of calipers that I picked up on Amazon a while back. Let's go ahead and zero them. Closed, zero, open. And I just want to measure the tube diameter here, the outer diameter. And the measurement I come up with is 14.04. So yeah, these are 14 millimeter outer diameter tubes. They just looked skinnier to me. Okay, no lies. These are 14 millimeter tubes. Knowing that, while I'm not disappointed, as I got exactly what I ordered, I probably should have opted for the 16 millimeter tubes, but I'm okay with this. They appear to be very transparent. They're not really cloudy in any way. They're not tinted. You can see through them very well. The ends are pretty clean. Little bird. In fact, this will give me the opportunity to try out the reamer tool that's in this. As I said, it's designed for acrylic, but I'm kind of curious how well it'll work on PETG. So let's pop this out of the box here. Switch to the other camera. Up, B plus A. Make that camera actually work. So weird that I keep having to reset it. And switch. All right, so here we are. Zoom in just a bit. And there's our tube. Focus. It's not terrible. So we take the outer diameter version of this here and stick it on the end and give it a twist. That does smooth things out quite a bit. And might as well try the inner diameter one while we're here and bevel that edge. I think it would definitely work better on acrylic. Yeah, the results it leaves are kind of fuzzy. But we'll have the opportunity to try out a slightly different method of doing this in just a few moments. That's a little bit better automated. But yeah, these are 100 centimeter. Oh, how I don't like the metric system. Or at least I don't like being an American trying to use a metric system. That's much closer to the truth. So yeah, let's pop that open. Copy, paste. So these are the tubes that I ended up picking up. Fosa 1000 millimeter. Okay, I did get that right. They're 14 by 10 millimeter. Wait, 20 by 14 millimeter? Okay, scrolling down to the product description. 14 millimeter outer diameter, 10 millimeter inner diameter. Length is 1,000 millimeters. Okay, so it is what I thought. And the material is PETG. Good. Sorry about that. I got confused for a couple of seconds. I thought it was somehow... Wait, 20 by 4... The inner diameter cannot be bigger than the outer diameter without violating physics. It's kind of late, almost midnight, and my brain's not firing on all thrusters. Yeah, anyhow, 10 millimeter inner diameter, 14 millimeter outer diameter. So I should be able to cut these and use them as I need to for this kit. I am going to keep just one of these on the desk as we've got some tools to try out on these as I'm here. I'm going to try out some of the cutting tools. I'm going to leave the hacksaw alone for right now, but the deburring tool and whatnot is something that I want to get into, but not before talking about the GPU block. So this is the Bykski GPU water block that I ended up picking up. As you see, it is a relatively full coverage block. Quite a bit sticking off in the end there. It's just as long as the PCB on this card, which is pretty darn long. And it goes for $167.99. It's important to note that this does not come with a backplate. It can easily utilize the OEM backplate for the Gaming X Trio, which is what I'm going to be doing. Or for an additional $12, you can buy a backplate that matches the block's aesthetics. And that's an aluminum backplate. I did not pick this up. I'm going to be going with the OEM model. If I have trouble, then I can always buy the backplate separately. But my version did not come with that. It is the 3-pin ARGB Aura Sync compatible version. So there are some LEDs that are Aura Sync compatible, which I will be using with Corsair's IQ. So yeah, should be perfectly suitable for my needs. Let's go ahead and grab that off the table. I'll show you how that is and unbox that. And apparently audio is still up, but video went down again. I really need to debug these cameras. This is going to come up in my day job as well soon, as I have several meetings this week that I will need my cameras for. There we go. Just went ahead and reset them and it works fine. Now switching to the other camera, which is also not functioning for some reason. Bcam reset. Okay. Now cutting to that. There we go. Everything works. Good. So this is the Bykski water block for the 3080, 3080 and 3090 Gaming X Trio by MSI. This is specifically for the MSI Gaming X Trio models because their PCB is quite a bit longer than the standard stuff that you might find otherwise. So on the box here, we'll note that it's rsync compatible. That's the 3-pin RGB that we've been looking at quite a bit. That is not the Corsair stuff that I mentioned earlier. It's MSI RGB, ASRock LED RGB. It's the standard rsync 3-pin RGB stuff. So I'll be able to adapt that with an adapter to plug into my Commander Pro. High quality water cooling fittings, brilliant and colorful LED affection with an E, easy installation, mature solution compatible with a variety of casings, strong expansibility. Apparently this is converted from some most likely Asian language. I want to say either Chinese or Japanese. I apologize, I'm not fluent in either. On the side, we see Bykski water block. On the other side, we see Bykski water block. On this side, we see all of the various parts in a water cooling loop. Most of these do not come with. This is just a block. In order for a complete system, you need a block, radiator, tubes, fans, pumps, fittings, reservoirs, and cooling fluid. Bykski water block. On the bottom, we have a WeChat number. I guess that's some Asian thing, as well as a official website. These are QR codes. I guess the QR code thing is much bigger in other countries than here. I know I can use QR codes, but I've really never needed to. And up here we've got some characters as well that are in a language that I don't recognize. Again, some Asian characters. And we have the English version. Visit Bykski.com for more detailed information of warranty policies and products. Designed by Bykski. Okay, made in China. That's what these are. They get a service hotline that is in China, so long distance does apply. And probably some language barrier there too. We've got email, Bykski@alien.com. Alien, I guess, is their home group. Got an address for their support in Guangdong, China. Yeah, so let's go ahead into this box. This is a very, very reasonably priced water block. Bykski has been in business for a while. I've heard of their brand, but they're one of the lower end brands in terms of the general tiers of water blocks. There are no EK water blocks, for example. EK, Alpha Cool. These are some of the top tier companies that make water blocks. This isn't them. This is the company that comes out with designs first, usually, and they aren't terribly known for extremely high quality components. Not to say that there's anything wrong necessarily with the quality of their components, but the fit and finish usually isn't quite up to the same specification as an Alpha Cool or a Corsair or a EK product. That said, they are pretty popular. there might be a little bit more work involved in order to get this 100%. I have seen videos on YouTube already of people installing this, and they seem to have had a pretty straightforward time with it, with some very minor issues that are very easy to fix. There are step-by-step guides that are available for this. So I'm pretty confident that I can get this working, and this has been tried on a variety of different people's cards with very good success rates. So I didn't just buy, a rando block off of eBay and call it a day. Interestingly enough, I did purchase this. Actually, no, wait, this is one of the ones that I got from Amazon. Never mind. I thought I purchased it on eBay. Anyhow, in here we've got the ARGB header with the pins that are compatible with the type of RGB that's installed here. We've got a collection of thermal pads, which we will need in order to install this. I'm not installing it right this second. I might end up doing that maybe tomorrow or next week. One of the deals with the water cooling loop in my particular case, it has to be all done at the same time because I'm both water cooling my CPU and GPU. Once the GPU has a water block on it, it can't be cooled by air without actually pulling the water block off of it again and putting on the stock cooler, which is a giant pain in the butt and could take upwards of probably a couple of hours done carefully, done right the first time. I don't want to have to pull that apart and keep swapping it back and forth between air and water. It just doesn't work well that way. Same thing with the CPU. Once the graphics card has a water block on it, I need to then water cool the CPU as well, because I'm going to design the loop once, and once the loop is all set and designed, I'm going to bend the tubes once, and that's the way it's going to be. I don't want to have to keep messing around with redesigning my loop and rebending tubes to fit both water-cooled CPU and air-cooled CPU situations if I toss a block on it. Anyhow, keep going with the unboxing. So we've got the thermal pads, which will go on the heated components, providing a thermal interface to the block itself. Comes with a small screwdriver. It looks like a 00, if I'm not mistaken. Although I like mine better. This is also a very cheap screwdriver. It's Husky. It's made by one of the brands of I think it's like Home Depot or something like that. It's not terribly expensive, but it works very well. It's a much better grip than some of these small screwdrivers. But it is nice that they chose to throw one in there. That's kind of cool. There's the RGB interface, as I discussed a moment ago. Looks like it comes with a couple of plugs. This has 2 ins and 2 outs, which will accommodate multiple graphics cards. If you choose to have multiple graphics cards in your system, it'll make life a little easier in order to go in and out, as well as go in and out on the top side of the card as well, so you can have a stack of them that go together. So they come with a couple of very high quality looking nickel plated stoppers with O-rings. These are really high quality. I like these. And it also gives you the appropriate mounting hardware to go ahead and mount the GPU to the block with nice nylon washers and rubber washers for, I think these are for either vibration deadening or for areas where there may be circuitry surrounding the screws. And then we've got, these look like probably backplate screws, if I'm not mistaken, that affix the PCB to the backplate. And then this, I guess, would be to affix the block to the backplate as well. So we'll go ahead and put that all back here in this bag. And of course, it comes with the manual here, although it is all in, it looks like it mostly anyway, in Chinese, and not extremely helpful with the way things go together. product parameter. Okay, this part is in English, but it's super tiny. I'm wearing pretty thick glasses right now, and I can't make that out. I'll have to get out the magnifying glass, or more preferably, there is a guide online that's way, way, way better than this. There are video versions. I can follow along somebody else's build, or there's actually a PDF guide that I saw that's incredibly useful. So unfortunately, the instructions in the box, very lackluster, but there are guides online that are extremely good. Opening the box and revealing the block. As you see, this block is massive. The video card itself is massive. It's a very large card, and there's a block to match. So, oh wow, this is quite heavy as well. Very thick plate of copper, and probably acrylic plastic. So pulling it out of the bag here. So this is nickel-plated copper. And you can see their inlet here. It's very well labeled in and out. There we go. So we've got in and out labeled here and here. We've got the block here. So it goes into this chamber down in here. And on the back side of this is where a lot of those memory and VRM components, I believe, are. Goes straight over. This is where the GPU would be. That's where most of the cooling is. You see the jet plate that comes in here, goes through here, and then out here, and then up back into the out portion. This is actually an open cavity on the other side. We'll see that in a couple of seconds. You'll notice the wire coming out from this section. This is actually the pin side of the board. So this is basically would be the way that it would be if you were to hold it up, and the fans would be on the side of the card. So that's the way it would go on. And we have the RGB cable here, and this is just basically a lighting strip that lights up the different areas of the card when it's in action. Because this is acrylic, it should light up this whole area without too much of a problem. In my case, I'm actually not going to see the RGB very much. Because in my case, it's actually going to go in this way. So it'll be in the computer in this fashion. The light will definitely come out here. Nope, I'm wrong. It'll be in the computer like this. So you'll get the lighting across the side of the card, but not necessarily the full, looking at the fluid going through the things kind of thing. On this side, you can see my fingerprints, and I will clean this off with isopropyl alcohol before I apply to make sure that there's no thermal interface trouble. This is where those thermal pads would go. On the GPU, there's memory on 3 sides, so this would be video memory, video memory, video memory, and there are strips that would go over there for thermal interface contact. This would be where the chokes are, the VRMs and the chokes. So those are actively cooled. And this is basically just a cutout for the capacitors and other chokes, I guess. I'm not personally very well versed in graphics card design, but I guess that the parts that are most important to cool are the RAM on this side, and the GPU itself, as well as the VRM components. So those are all cool, it seems, and it looks like this is a really nice, well-polished block. I can see some of the tooling lines, but the thermal pads and some heatsink compound for the GPU should be all that's necessary in order to get this mounted correctly. It doesn't look like it would be that big of a task to go ahead and install this, but yeah. One of the things that I don't really like is here we have some exposed solder points. I wish that this was covered up in even just electrical tape. I might stick a little bit of electrical tape over that. It's not a problem that it's exposed. It's not high voltage. This is just the RGB connection. It's 5 volts DC, so it's not going to hurt anybody. But I don't think it looks nice in this way. I'll just put a little black piece of electrical tape over it and call it a day. Yeah, I like the block. It's pretty hefty. It's feels like reliability. It's a lot less hefty than the default stock cooler on the graphics card, which is a good thing. It doesn't need to have all those the heatsink fins and stuff that the stock cooler has in order to get heat out of the thing. But there's still more than enough copper here in order to get the job done for extracting heat from the card. The block looks very nice if you're going to be mounting it vertically. I will not be mounting vertically specifically because there aren't any good PCIe 4 risers. And if you use a PCI 3 riser on a PCIe 4 graphics card and motherboard setup while it's in PCIe 4, then it can actually lead to many crashing, blue screen problems, and that sort of stuff. Riser cables just haven't been created for PCIe 4 that work well yet. So until they come out with those, then we're basically stuck using the PCIe 3 risers with PCIe 3 graphics cards. But that's not my case. So I will be using a normal horizontal mounting orientation with this instead of the vertical orientation, despite my case having a decent vertical orientation mounting place. I just don't have a riser that will electrically make that work. I like it. It's a nice block, and I will definitely be looking forward to installing this. I will probably do a video on that just to go through my build guide sort of setup. Although it's not so much of a guide, it's more of a idiot puts together a water cooling loop. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I dig it. Oh, and I've gone fuzzy again. There I am. And again, this block is specific to the Gaming X Trio 3080 and 3090. This will not work on other cards. They do make a variety of blocks, however, Bykski that is, as well as a variety of other vendors that can water cool most graphics cards. So if you're interested in that, yeah, it's a good way to go for heat dissipation, especially for some of these cards that are 380 to 500 watts of graphics power. It's pretty important. So, as I said so long ago at the beginning of this stream, one of the things that I was able to save a little bit of money on is the filling bottle for the coolant. So instead of getting the Corsair fill bottle for about $20, I went ahead and got what is labeled as tattoo wash bottles. And these are 2 bottles. The big one is 500 milliliters, so half a liter, and the small one is 250, so basically half of the larger one, or a quarter liter. And they have the same exact fill bottle look thing as the fill bottle does, and they should work great. And together, these were I believe it's like 7 something. And it was a good way to save some cash. And they're just labeled tattoo wash bottle. So you can squeeze it and eject the water into the liquid cooling reservoir, or in case of tattoo, squeeze the bottle and shoot water on your tattoo or whatever to clean stuff. And because these are designed for use on people, I would imagine that they're clean on the inside, at least as far as necessary. So I shouldn't have any difficulties using my distilled water and coolant mixture There's actually biocide in that mixture that I'm going to be using. So it shouldn't be a problem either way. But yeah, these are nice squeeze bottles that are fairly inexpensive for what they are in comparison to liquid cooling water bottles. Their markup is just extreme, and these bottles probably cost maybe $1 to make, if that. So yeah, that's water cooling bottles. Let's see. Next is the pipe cutter. Let's see if I can find that. There we go. So this, camera stopped again. That's super annoying. There we go. So this is the steel pipe cutter that I was talking about previously at the beginning of the stream. So this should cut through this PETG like nobody's business. Tube cutter. So this is pretty much hardware store grade. Normal. It says for cutting copper, brass, aluminum, stainless steel tube. Cutting wheels is made by high quality alloy steel. Sharp wheel, durable and high quality, easy to use, and improve work efficiency. High quality refrigeration tool, nothing on the back, and it looks like this slides out here. So this looks like a standard use pipe cutter from like average hardware store, and it says capacity 8:1, 80D, I guess, tube cutter. So the idea is this is like a clamp. You twist this and it moves the cutting wheel closer to the wheels. So you drop in your tube and cut. So I'm just going to cut the end of one of my tubes off, just so I can get a feel for this. This is the cutting wheel on the inside there. It's nice and sharp. Sharp enough anyway. So theoretically, I should just be able to drop my tube in here once I make this wide. All right, so you drop the tube in all the way, and you close it until it's closed. Once it's closed, you basically run it around. A couple times, then you tighten it a little bit more, and you keep running it around. And then you tighten a little bit more, then you run it around. Tighten a little more. You basically keep repeating this process until you're left with a clean cut. Which I think I now have. So I'm going to back off on this all together. And I didn't do it all the way through. Just didn't get it. Let's try it again. Let's find that groove. Okay, it's in the groove. Close it down. Oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. There are these two rollers. I put the tube all the way in, but that's not what you're supposed to be doing. So if I remove the pipe cutter, there are these two rollers down below here that the tube is supposed to ride in. I didn't understand that when I first did the cut. So I'm going to find that groove between the two, and then find the groove with cutting wheel here, and slowly close this so that those two wheels are hugging the tube. There we go. I think I got it. All right, so I'll lock that down. Okay, and it's way easier to go around now. So I'm gonna keep twisting around, and closing a little bit, twisting around and closing a little bit, and eventually it'll just cut right through the tube. There we go. Nice, clean cut all the way through. Very little burring. The only burring that's there is from the heat that I made by moving too quickly. Extremely, extremely clean cut. I really like that. And then once we're done with the tube cutter, which I will certainly be using this for most of my big cuts, the next thing I'm going to talk about is the reamer. Where did I put that now? Ah, here we are. In that camera. Okay. So this is sold by Primo Chill, but you know it's an OEM thing that is used by a variety of different companies, and they got this from somewhere else. So features works with 10 millimeter by 14 millimeter tubes. So this is very specific. You need both the same inner diameter and outer diameter for the bit. So basically this will only work with 14 millimeter outer diameter, 10 millimeter inner diameter tubing, which is in fact what I'm using. And it says that it fits standard drills, sealed bearings that allow for scuff-free spinning. Now the point of this is it basically does what the Hardline vending kit tool does, but it does it all at the same time. So the idea here is you shove it on the end of the tube, and at the same time it puts a bevel on the inner edge as well as cleans up any outer edge. I don't have a drill handy in the lab. I don't do a whole lot of drilling. However, I do have an electric screwdriver that has a bit that's compatible with these types of holder things. So this fits right in here with no problems. So it's a little slower than a drill, but it should certainly get the job done. So we put our slightly burred, although still pretty clean cut from the pipe cutter right on here. So that's it's set. And then I'm going to hold this tight. And as you see, so it's a little on the slow side. It's a little on the messy side. But at the end of the day, we get an extremely smooth outer surface, an extremely smooth inner surface. So this is about as good as you can get factory-wise for putting stuff into fittings. I'm just going to go ahead and put this in the trash real quick. I have a trash bag next to me. Thankfully, all the shavings got in my hand. Looks like there's still just a bit of a burr from it being an uneven cut. So So I think this would be better with a drill. I might have to grab one of those for this type of work because this is kind of slow. But it does do a pretty good job if you hold it evenly. That's going to be one of the keys. Apparently, I'm going a little out and warping things a bit, but it does do a pretty good job of making that happen. Also, while I have the fittings on the table along with my tube, I want to go ahead and try to install one of those fittings appropriately. What did I do with those? Oh, right here in front of me. So in order to install these fittings, just grab one at random here and pop it open. Again, I explained that there's this ring here, and then you pop this open to get the collar, right? So you put the tube that's been smoothed out right in here. Making sure that doing it wrong already. First, the O-ring goes over the tube, which is just the right diameter. And then you install the tube into the fitting. Nope, not quite. Bad at explaining all of this. So first the collar goes on. So the end of the tube, collar goes on. Then the O-ring. Then the compression fitting. And you've got to get that down into the fitting as much as you can, past the O-rings. Now, this collar will push down that O-ring, locking the whole tube into place once this is in there correctly. So just finger tight, not too tight now. And that's in there as much as you need it to be. It's past those O-rings. And maybe not. This is a test I've been wanting to do for a little while now, because it will mean the stability of how this goes together. So first the ring, then the O-ring, or collar, then the O-ring, and then the fitting. And the camera went out again. That's so annoying. There we go. That's harder to pull out. So it's in there. I will definitely be leak-proof testing the loop before I trust it to anything. But you can see how that sort of works. Just looking at the chat, please show the water bottle again. One camera was frozen and the other camera was out of focus. I've been having all sorts of problems with those two cameras tonight. So this is the water bottle set. So 500 and 250 milliliters. This is basically tattoo wash bottle instead of the water cooling bottle, but it's designed identically, probably from the same manufacturing plant and just labeled differently. So this is basically what I'm going to be using to fill my loop. This isn't a prime tool or anything like that, but this is in lieu of using a funnel or a filling port. So I'm just basically going to be sticking this into one of the top holes on the reservoir here, at the very top, and using this to fill the reservoir. I'm not quite certain how much fluid my loop will take to fill. Certainly less than a liter. This is a 350 milliliter reservoir, I think it said. Let me double check on that. 330 milliliter reservoir. So that is roughly, this is a 500, so roughly 2/3 ish of liquid, plus the amount of liquid it'll take to go through all the tubes and radiators. Again, radiators don't take much fluid. Blocks don't take much fluid. It's mostly going to be the reservoir and the tubes that will accommodate for most of the liquid capacity. So it should not take a liter in order to fill it. Basically 2 of these. And also this bottle is graduated 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 centiliters, or 100 milliliter, 200 milliliter, etc. Same idea. The other one is graduated as well, from 25 to 250 milliliters. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if I'd necessarily trust those graduations for scientific type work, but in terms of this, it'll give me an approximate measurement of how much fluid I've entered into the system. So I'll keep track of that just to take notes on my loop and see how much fluid it takes to top it off. So that's the water bottle. And I'll go ahead and take the tube reamer off here. I think it will make more sense if I put this on the drill, but I can definitely use it to some extent with my electric screwdriver here, and that's a nice thing to have. Just toss this back in the box. Probably going to end up chucking the box for the tube cutter. Need to make some storage for my water cooling gear here. But the cutting and reaming process went very well in terms of using the tube cutter and the finishing bit. Link to that finishing bit is also in the description. It's the Primo Chill finishing bit. I believe I have it here in the description. Yes, I do. And of course the pipe cutter. Let's see what else. Coolant. Thought I had my bottle of coolant right here. Oh, something I don't have in the description, but is very helpful, that I was talking to a few people about the other day. This is the EK loop tester. I'm going to go ahead and add this to the description after the stream. This is going to be of paramount importance when testing my loop here. So this is a pressure tester. It comes disassembled. I did pop the box open and assemble it. This also came from the seller Titan rig on Amazon. As you see, this is basically a 1 bar pressure gauge. So you get from 0 to 1 bar. Over here, you've got an inline ball valve. So basically, you can turn the flow on and off. The way you can tell what direction the flow is going is the direction of the little flag here. So when it's in this orientation along the pipe, it's allowing air to go through. And when you put it in the opposite direction, it's no longer allowing air to go through, and it's sealed. So there's that. And then there's this, which is basically kind of like a bike pump. You push it in and out, and it pumps air into this braided tube, into this ball fitting, into this gauge, and then out this very normal G quarter fitting. This is just a pretty normal fitting. It is a rotary fitting, however, and what that means is, let me screw it back in here. First off, there's an O-ring here, so that it's pressure tight, but it basically twists, and it can still keep pressure, twist in any direction. So you can twist it around as needed. And then this, I would put I can either screw it directly into the reservoir, this whole apparatus, or I can use a little piece of the PETG tubing with a PETG fitting on the end of this, and make sure that that's tight. And the whole point of this is, once you attach it to the system, you fill the entire system with air up to that 1 bar point. I'm just blocking off the aperture here with my thumb as I pump, and you'll note that the pressure increases inside and up to a specific rate. Now, if I can keep my thumb over the aperture all the way so that it doesn't, it's hard to maneuver here. If I keep my finger over it, it should hold pressure for a little bit. So pumping it up, it stays at 0.075. If I close this, it's less likely that any back pressure from the pump is going to affect it. But as you see, I can hold it at 0.5. This is a pressure tight seal that I have here right now. And if I come back in 15 minutes, assuming my finger stays put that long, then it basically means that the system that I've connected it to is leak proof from a pressure perspective. But if there's a leak, it basically will release the pressure in the system and be 0. So what this does is allow me to pressure test my entire cooling loop before any liquid is added whatsoever. So this basically should enable me to fully test my my loop before I add liquid. The only shortcoming of this particular test is there's no thermal cycling. So what I mean by that is the liquid cooling loop is designed to heat up and cool down. That's its whole purpose, is to take in heat from components, dump that heat into the water, and then have the water put the heat to the radiator, which will then radiate that heat into the room. When that heats up and cools down, it can actually affect the connections and whatnot of all of the places that are the tube is connected in, and it can conceivably raise and lower pressure, as well as if the tube gets too warm, it can actually start bending inside the fittings, and basically they no longer become structurally secure and can release. So we want to avoid all of that. Now this stuff, all of the stuff that I've shown here today, with the exception of a couple of the tools for cutting, are explicitly designed for liquid cooling apparatus. This stuff is designed to hold together just fine. The PETG tube is designed for liquid cooling. All of these fittings are explicitly designed for liquid cooling. The radiators, the pump res, the blocks, all of this stuff is designed explicitly for liquid cooling, which means that there are some security mechanisms like extra O-rings and those sorts of things to keep things from leaking. So it's a good system overall to begin with, but this is just that extra added safety net for making sure that the loop doesn't leak on me before I go ahead and fill it with liquid, my very expensive gear. All right, that brings us to the heat gun. No, I'm just gonna leave this out for now. So this one was pretty inexpensive. Bring these over as well. My camera went down again. So annoying. There we go. Okay, so Wagner HT1000 heat tool. I did pop it open just so I can have a quick, but I didn't even take it out. So this is the new heat gun. First off, the box it comes in is not all that great. It's thin cardboard. It just says Wagner HT1000 heat tool, and that's pretty much it. Great for economical, friendly packaging. Terrible for keeping your tools handy and neat. So of the things that I mentioned previously, the vents are on the sides, not on the back, which is super important because this needs to go on its back, like so, on my table, and sit cleanly, just like this. And the reason that's important is because I need to have my hands on the tube, bending it right over. There we go. So I'm going to have my hands right in this orientation with the tube above, and it will help me bend those tubes. It's basically hands-free operation because it's sitting there freely on the table. It's pretty well balanced. I'm probably not going to knock it over, although it is a little top-heavy. I'm going to have to basically set it in an orientation and make sure that it doesn't like have issues getting knocked over. It is kind of chintzy feeling. It's cheap plastic. Feels like an overpowered hair dryer, but that's kind of what it is anyway. On the side, we have off, low, and high, which corresponds to some high wattage numbers. We've got warning, risk of fire. Hot air can cause burns or fires. Material behind or between exposed surfaces may ignite. Keep heat tool moving. And that's on whatever you're directing it at. Clearly, when it's on its back, they don't expect you to keep it moving. Warning, to reduce risk of fire or electric shock, connect to a grounded outlet. Do not expose to rain or moisture. Store indoors. Read owner's manual before using. It's a basic model, 50-60 hertz, 120 volts AC, 10 amp, 1200 watts is this. So it's pretty much an entry level heat gun, but I'm only going to be using this for bending tubes, so I don't really foresee any problems with that as a basic setup. As far as the manual that it comes with, looks pretty thick, but it's also in 3 different languages. Heat gun hot air paint removable tool. I'm not using it for paint removal. I just need it for hot air. Specifications, wattage, 1200 watts high, 650 watts low. Operates on 110, 120 volt AC, yeah. Heat output, approximately 1000 degrees Fahrenheit on high, approximately 750 degrees Fahrenheit on low, approximately 4,100 BTUs on high. It's 1.6 pounds. It's very light. Uses: soften paint, caulking, and putty for easier removal, soften adhesives to help remove floor tiles, bend plastic pipes, which is what I'm after it for, shrink tubing for electrical work, shrink plastic film for wrapping and weatherproofing, so you can like reseal packaging and that sort of thing, loosen rusted nuts, bolts, fittings, and they give various indications of the types of jobs and their recommendations for the heat setting and the nozzle tip options. So apparently this tip can be removed in some fashion. Don't break anything. Let's continue with the manual to see if they mention it here. Important safety information. Hazard, poison, that's for removing paint. It's reasonable. Hazard, explosion, or fire. That's pretty self-explanatory. Grounding instructions. Has a grounded outlet plug on it. It's basically saying that you need an actual grounded outlet adapter if you have a 2-prong outlet instead of a 3-prong outlet. So you need to ground to that center pin or find a grounding post. Using the heat gun. Smoke may appear during the initial startup due to the burning of manufacturing oils. The smoke should disappear in less than a minute. That's important. When I start this thing up, I wouldn't expect it to smoke, but now I do, and that's fine. Always protect glass when working near windows. Don't touch nozzle or scraper blade when working. These become extremely hot. Cleaning and maintenance, storage. Accessories, there's a concentrator nozzle and a flare nozzle available that pop onto these. They may come with a gun or may be purchased separately by calling the phone number. Apparently there are different sets that involve this particular gun. All I have is the gun itself. I don't have any of the nozzles, but that is just fine. That tip that's on there should be perfectly fine for my needs. Important, always use gloves when handling heat gun. To attach the optional item to gun, yada, yada, yada. I don't have any optional items, and then it goes into different languages. So most of the manual here is just warnings of various types, and those warnings are basically just, common sense. Don't point it at something that's flammable or explosive. And that's, pretty sound advice. Also, always wear gloves. So these are just some welding gloves. I specifically did a quick search for welding gloves to see if I could get some cheap ones on eBay, or not eBay, Amazon. I apologize. And these came up. These were on sale. They were very inexpensive, and they're nice leather welding gloves. They're very comfortable. They're not like plush or anything on the inside. They're like burlap material, but for the heat dissipation quality and overall use, these are pretty thick in terms of being able to prevent heat buildup. And I do apologize. There is some felt material in the hand area that should be both absorbent as well as smooth. It's a good texture feel on the inside of this. And they appear to be very durable. They're labeled as Fanta Plus, and I'm pretty happy. Some pretty standard gloves here. Just going to the Amazon site. I'm kind of curious how much I paid for these now. Paste and go. And switching over. So, Well, once I restore my camera here. So annoying. And there I am. All right, so these are the gloves that I went with. Fanta Plus 14-inch leather forge welding gloves, heat resistant wear, resistant red. So they're pretty straightforward. They're welding gloves. They can be used for anything from working with a heat gun, as I am here. That's probably the low end of what they can do. All the way up to, TIG welding, MIG welding, a few thousand degrees work. And these are $8.99 without the coupon, or save 50% with the coupon when you just check the little box. There's nothing special about that. The price becomes half of that, so the $450-ish plus tax. So $450 for a set of pretty good welding gloves. I mean, they're not nothing to write home about, but for my purposes, they're perfectly fine. Wing thumb design, so you can keep your dexterity even. I definitely knew that I wanted that. I didn't want like oven glove style things, because I need to be able to turn the tubes with precision. Gloves will adapt to your hand gradually during use, improve the comfort and efficiency. So basically, the gloves themselves will fit to you with use. Heat resistant stitches, which is always a plus. So this thing will stay together for a while. It's nice and strong. It's got a soft insert. Feels good. Full cotton liner inside. For heat insulation. Absorbance, and it's good for pretty much anything here. You can grab grills with it. You can use it as a gardening glove if you need to. You can use it for grinding, as you see here in the picture, and forging. So if you wanted to do a little bit of blacksmithing work, you can do it that way with gloves. I'm just using a little old heat gun, so I shouldn't have any problems using these whatsoever. For $4.50 Wonder Gloves, I think that's a really good deal. And if you're interested in getting some of these, please do use the link down in the description. I do get a couple percent back. I mean, these are cheap, period. But I would definitely recommend these gloves for the price. It's a good way to save a whole bunch of money if you need to protect your hands from the heat. I see what happened. There's no audio in that scene. And one of the viewers was nice enough to give me a shout and let me know that the audio was messed up. So thank you. As I was saying, I'm sorry about that. Got some distilled water for my cooling fluid. And that is a non-conductive fluid, as there aren't any non-electrically conductive fluid, I should say, because there aren't any dissolved minerals in it. There's nothing to carry the electricity. So the deal with that is it will end up picking up ions from the nickel and copper and whatnot that are in the blocks in a cooling loop over time. But when you first fill a system, if you get a little bit of distilled water or even distilled water with some additives like biocide and cooling stuff mixed into it on stuff, it's very unlikely that it's going to cause damage when you first fill a loop. So if there is a leak, using distilled water is definitely the way to go, because it's non-electrically conductive, even if you were to get it on stuff. Just wait for it to dry out, give it at least a day before you power things back up, and you're pretty much good to go. So distilled water, definitely the way to go. This is 1 gallon, and I'm going to be mixing this with some premix concentrate, and that looks like, could have sworn that I had it here on my desk. Here we go. Like this. Wrong camera active. E plus A. Transition. And that camera is not active. There we go. So that looks like this. This is XSPC's ECX fluid. This is ultra concentrate coolant in a clear UV color. XSPC ECX is a high performance concentrate coolant for PC water cooling. Each 100 milliliter bottle will make 1 liter of coolant when mixed with purified water. ECX offers superb protection for copper, brass, steel, nickel, aluminum, and has been tested with a large range of acetal and acrylic plastics. So the deal with this is this has all of the additives that you need, including a biocide that inhibits any sort of bacterial growth. So algae is less likely to form, bacterial slime is less likely to form, because you're basically talking about nice warm water, which is what bacteria likes to thrive in. So this is basically got some biocide in it to keep that stuff from growing. This also is low electrical conductivity, which is what I was saying before, even when mixed with distilled water. So when you're first filling your loop, not necessarily after it's in there for a while, but when you're first filling, it's not going to be very likely to kill things if you get it on power flow components. You basically just dry it out and you can continue using it. High thermal conductivity, which is what we want again, as that's basically what this stuff is for, is mixed with distilled water. It'll carry heat away from components and into radiators where it'll radiate it away. Freezing point is -6. I am not interested in doing any sort of sub-zero cooling with this. But if you were interested in sub-zero cooling, then that's basically what you would do for that. So you can take it down to -6C rather than 0. Long life corrosion inhibitors. So there's a lot of metals here, a lot of mixed metals, and this will keep things from rusting, corroding, getting all nasty and gunked up. effective biological inhibitors, which is what I was just explaining, how it's antibacterial, non-toxic, and ROHS compliant. So if someone were to accidentally, drink this or something like that, it probably won't kill you. It's rated as non-toxic. You basically just drink a bunch of water and it's probably fine. I don't recommend doing this. This is not the use of this fluid. Please don't take this as any advice. Don't go off and say, Josh told me it was safe to drink this. Don't do it. It's not good. But if somebody does accidentally do it, it's probably okay. ROHS compliance basically refers to it's very well documented in terms of disposal and what kind of chemical combinations and that kind of thing for emergency use. As far as what you can combine it with, what you can't, and that sort of thing. And it's relatively inert. So it's good as far as that goes. Also for disposal, it's 85% biodegradable in 30 days, which means that once this is used, I can dump it down my sink. I have a pretty standard non-sewer open system here, so it's safe to basically just dump down the drain and call it a day. You don't need to do anything special with this in order to dispose of it like you would with quite a few other different kinds of fluids for cooling. And it's got a 2-year shelf life. So once this is mixed, you can keep it for up to 2 years and it won't cause any chemical mixture problems or anything. Also, it means that this can live for up to 2 years in a water cooling loop. Standard maintenance usually requires flushing and filling every about a year. And I think that would be more reasonable. I will probably do the 1 year turnaround, or whenever you swap one of the components that's liquid cooled. I usually swap GPUs about once every 2 years. I buy whatever the highest end part is that I can get when they do major releases, and that's usually every 2 years. For example, the last video card that I had was a 2080 Ti. I just got upgraded to a 3090, and more than likely when NVIDIA releases their new part in probably 2 years, I'll upgrade to that too. Reselling my previous components as need be, which will mean breaking down the water cooling loop in order to remove the video card, which will mean I'd have to drain it anyway, at which time I would dispose of the coolant, buy new coolant, and make that happen. Right on the thing, it says, do not consume. As I was just saying, it's not for ingestion, but if you were, it probably won't kill you. And there's documentation at XSPC.com/MSDS. So it's certified non-toxic, but do not consume. So this is the fluid that I'm using. It covers all the bases. It's anti-corrosive. It's biological, so it inhibits growth in your loops. It's good for mixed metals, and you mix it with a liter of distilled water in order to make it happen. And this is also pretty inexpensive overall. Let's double check here. Where is the coolant? There's the coolant. Copy. Paste. And switch. And I'm both stuck and fuzzy. Okay, there's one problem solved. Now let's do the other. Okay. There I am. All right, so this is the coolant. It's $17.49 on sale, save $2, 10%, and it's basically the exact same stuff that we were looking at. This is where I got it from. There are a few different colors, so if you want to, you could go with the blue UV. You could go with the clear UV. You can go with blood red if you want red coolant. Please note that a lot of coolants that are a darker color will stain the components that you have as far as the plastics go. So it may stain the plastic tubing. It may stain a plastic reservoir. It will more than likely stain the plastic blocks. A lot of people have trouble with that, especially red colors. I don't know if this particular coolant does that, but just a warning against darker colors. I like the clear look, especially the UV glow clear look. I actually did some testing already with my UV strips in my computer. It looks pretty neat. Not gonna lie, I like the way that it looks. It's pretty cool. And once I get this coolant in, it'll basically make it look like my tubes are glowing, which is the effect that I was going for. It's really cool. I like that. So that's what I went for, is the clear UV setup. And I will be showing some of that stuff off when I do my my loop build. I'll do a lighting test, and you can all see that. But for now, I'll save that for later. There's also a green UV. The UV variants of this fluid are actually relatively clear-ish. They do have that color. As you can see a little bit, this bottle is a little bluish. It will be bluish in your loop, even without the black light. But of course, when it's illuminated by black light, it's reactive, so it'll glow. The fluid that I got, however, is clear normally, which is what you saw in the bottle that I have. And it'll remain clear until it's hit with a black light, in which case it'll glow kind of bluish. So that's pretty cool. And then they also, this is just the straight up clear version. This is basically if you just want the coolant properties and the anti-corrosive and biocide properties, you would just get the clear version. You can also get the clear version if you wanted to add your own coloring. XSPC and other vendors do have some compatible color drops. They're kind of like food coloring, but they don't have any sugar. It's very important that you not use food coloring with water cooling, as A, it stains all of the plastics, and B, there's sugar in it, so growth can certainly happen much faster, even with the growth inhibitors of something like a coolant like this. You don't want to add sugar to the loop. Anything that is for food should not be used in water cooling, with the exception of distilled water straight up. So that's pretty important. So top to bottom, I think that covers all of our bases. So thank you for tuning in. That's basically the basis of all of the tools and components that will be in my upcoming water cooling loop, with the exception of the Commander Pro and the fans, which are already in use in my machine. I apologize that I didn't show those here. I did in the build stream, so if you're interested, go ahead and check out that. That's still up on the channel. It's in 2 parts because I had some, again, technical difficulties. But if you're after it, it's definitely there still. If you like what you see, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. It'll definitely help the algorithm and get this seen. If not, that's okay too. Go ahead and hit the thumbs down button. But if for whatever reason you don't like this type of content, please let me know in the comments what you do like, what you don't. I'm always interested in changing stuff up. I do know that I had some major camera difficulties and some audio difficulties here and there that I was able to correct reasonably quickly with the help of chat letting me know that things are awry. I know that I do have some work to go for getting that stuff ironed out and set up, so I do apologize for that. But do let me know what you want to see down there in the comments. If you like this kind of format, if this is just way too long and you don't want to have to view this stuff, you hate unboxings, that's fine too. If you have something more complicated to say, I'm certainly interested in reading them. I read all the comments that you guys have for me, so I'm certainly interested in that. If you want to continue the conversation, feel free to head on over to the Cpgeek.org Discord. You can find that at Cpgeek.org, along with Twitter. If you want to go ahead and tweet me, you can do that as well. It's at Cpgeek. There's a link to that at Cpgeek.org. If you want to join the Facebook group and be notified of when I might be going live, you can do that as well. If you want to see what's coming up on Cpgeek.org or any of the video work that I do, subscribing to the Facebook page is definitely a good idea. Otherwise, you can always check back at the website, Cpgeek.org. I'll have videos and whatnot up there. If you like what you see, go ahead and get subscribed if you're not already. And thank you very much for watching. Until the next video, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. The next video will more than likely be a water cooling build stream, so stay tuned for that. It's either going to be tomorrow or next weekend. I have all the components for the water cooling, as you see here, out here in front of me, and I'm now familiar with everything that I have, and have touched everything and made sure it's mostly working, at least as far as prior to my install. I've inspected everything here on stream, no less. So I think I'm just about ready to start that process, and I'm hoping beyond hope that one of the people that I've pre-ordered a 5950X from will come through within the next week, so I can have a little bit of time to shake that down on air as well. Let's see, what else? One question I do have for the community, if you're still watching this far, thank you very much, is should I go ahead and use the pre-applied thermal compound on the CPU block, or should I go ahead and add some of my own? I did just pick up some new thermal compound. This is Arctic Silver 5. This stuff has been around for quite a long time. It's got a following. It's a little tube, but this little tube should last me for a good probably, I don't know, 10 or so applications. I do have 2 tubes of this, so I'm not bereft of thermal compound. I did buy this mostly for the GPU block installation, but there's plenty for CPU as well. Or should I just use the pre-applied Corsair stuff? Let me know. I'm certainly interested. I'll be asking that question of quite a few people within the next couple of days. Yeah, so let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and